like that area, that period, and the period of Standard Oil and stuff. Like the way it was basically taught, even if it was just implicitly taught this way, not always explicitly taught this way, was like, oh, Standard Oil was like the bad guy. They were like the
Yeah, no,
monopoly,
that's
and then
like
the government.
completely false because they're a bunch of dumb liberals.
But see,
To
that's the thing.
be
It's like
fair.
how do people what are you supposed to do to inform people when their own education system misinforms them? Like what are
I
you supposed
mean,
to do?
you
It's just
do
like
like even with that guy, I was trying to explain like what actually happened, like basically, because he was just asserting the typical uh narrative. He was laying it out as it's typically told, because he's a socialist probably or whatever. Just I don't know. You just gotta tell him if you actually know. Like if you actually, and I'm not like super well educated on this, but I've read enough to just know like that the things these people say, those typical talking points like aren't true. Like so you just tell it like it
KingSithis
is,
is
but
now live
and
streaming
people like
World
that
of
guy don't care.
Warcraft.
So
Talk
yeah,
to
whatever.
Encaps.
but do you know after they like broke apart Standard Oil, like what happened to oil prices in the oil? Did it actually improve anything? Did it matter at all?
Um, so what's interesting is that well, I think it follows because over time, like after Standard Oil was broken up, and you had a bunch of these like competitors to Standard Oil. That's why Standard Oil was losing market share. And then you had Standard Oil broken up into all these subsidiaries. But I believe I know less about what happened after, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure what happened was just over time, um, in the decades following. Like I think specifically in the maybe 60s to 70s, there became more concentration in the oil industry, and oil companies began to use the government basically to benefit it. I don't know, by lobbying, saying things along the lines of like probably like oil is important, like government needs to help us. And then you have these certain I guess maybe I think like maybe like regulatory agencies or organization government organizations that would basically work to price fix oil. I don't know if this still happens. I mean, probably. But yeah, then you saw more consolidation there, I think, and more state involvement in the oil industry.
Mm.
And I mean, I can't think of another example off the top of my head. I mean, I think this is a pattern that occurs with like industries over time. Like if they get more involved with the government, like you're gonna have inevitably you're gonna have concentration, and then you're just literally gonna have prices go up. Like this always happens whenever you um, like regulate something, whenever you price fix, things are gonna get worse.
Let's hope some new people join that are actually nice and not dickheads.
Hopefully.
Oh, Cam left. So danger doggo.
Mm. Yeah.
Are you an ANCAP?
No, I'm not an ACAP.
Why not?
Um, I mean, I don't really understand how ANCAPs are supposed to handle collective action problems, and I feel like either they're just gonna they're just either they're gonna create something that's essentially the equivalent of a state, or they're just not gonna be able to handle collective action problems.
Could you give me like an example of like some sort of collective action problem you feel like couldn't be solved on the free market?
Yeah, well, okay, so I'll give you an example, like for example, climate change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like could it in theory be solved in an ANCAP society? Yes, like if everybody cooperated,
Mm-hmm.
sure. But I don't really see how you're like it's very difficult to get everyone to cooperate. And the problem is that the people who don't cooperate tend to get rewarded more than the people who do, right? Most people are like would be willing to just pay. less for cheaper goods, even if it meant fucking up the environment, because there's no rational incentive for them to change their own individual behavior. In game theory, this is a collective action problem. It's similar to like a prisoner's dilemma,
Hmm.
right? But it's like on a very large scale, so everyone is kind of incentivized to defect. Um, but
Yeah.
what you have when you have a government is the government could just be like, okay, well, we're just gonna force you not to defect.
No, I get that. But I would argue, personally, that this whole public goods, the whole what you call it, climate change issue. There, almost forgot the word. The whole climate change issue, I would argue, is a public goods issue, you know, or a public property good issue, where we treat all property or the air and a lot of things, right, that belong to everybody, quote unquote. We basically make it public, and we don't privatize it. So, for instance, the ocean, or the air, or land, all the land, public land, things like that. So, for instance, if you're polluting and putting stuff into the oxygen, right, that negatively affects other people. So you would have to pay restitution to those whom you affect. If you do something that affects other people, you have to pay those people. So that adds a cost onto businesses.
Well, there's several issues. Well, for starters, who's
Sorry, I'm almost
enforcing?
done. I'm almost done.
Oh,
So I just took a sip of water because my throat. So you're good. Don't worry. What I was going to say was, when you put an added cost onto these businesses, which means that they have to pay for the pollution that they put out, they do what they can to reduce that cost. And yeah, so I think we should make businesses pay for the pollution that they put out if it affects other people.
I guess two questions. There's, for starters, who's enforcing this whole thing? Like,
Well, private
like,
rights enforcement agencies or private insurance agencies.
um, so can you give me maybe an example? Like, let's say a company says, "Oh, this other company's polluting the air." Like, how exactly
What would they
are they
do?
gonna go after them?
So they
Yeah.
would call their insurance company. And they would basically, like, let's say, you know how like insurance companies with cars, if somebody hits another person's car, they call that person, you exchange insurance information, and then that
Yeah.
insurance company calls the other one, and then they settle it in the background. Well, it would kind of
Yeah.
work that way. So what they would do is they would call their insurance company. They would say, hey, they caused this much damage. They'd be like, all right, let's see the damage. Kind of like when your car insurance company tells you to take a picture of the damage done to your car, right? Then they look at it. They usually make some sort of assessment as to how much it would cost. Then they foot the bill to the other insurance company that would then be paid by that insurance company, from the pool that those companies pay into. And that's kind of how it
Wait,
would
but
work.
why would the company even need insurance? Like, what if it just says, "No, fuck you, I'm not getting insurance. I'm not paying for this."
Well, because they want a quick and easy way to settle disputes. When you have insurance, it makes it easier for you to settle disputes because
Yeah,
they
but
have pre-agreed signed agreements with like arbitration firms and things like that. That's like getting into a car accident and not having insurance. Like, you'll have to foot the whole bill by yourself.
right, no, but what I'm saying is that, like, who's like, so with car insurance, for example, I recently there was a case where like my cousin got hit and the other guy, I don't remember if he didn't have insurance or whether the insurance just didn't want to pay or something. It doesn't really
Mhm.
matter, but the point is, what if you lived in society where that guy just didn't have insurance and was just like, "No, I'm not paying," right? The point is, you have, like, there has to be some kind of
Yeah.
enforcement. mechanism.
Well, I mean, just because another person doesn't have insurance doesn't mean that you're not able to extract restitution from them. If you have insurance, then that insurance agency will just extract restitution from them.
How?
Well, they could put them into some sort of workers' camp.
Yeah, but see, this is why I said before that. Remember, the first thing I said was that either they're not gonna be able to solve the problem, or they're gonna have to like reinvent the state. But what you just said is basically like a voluntarist state. It's like a Robert Nozick style state, where this
Well,
like you pay
I
into
wouldn't
it
really
and
call
then
it a
they
state. I would more call it a voluntary governance. That's more what I would call it. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I mean, it's voluntary for the people paying, but for the guy that's getting his shit kicked in, and
Well,
because
I
he
mean, if
polluted the
you're an
problem.
aggressor, well, if you're an aggressor, you know.
But so okay, so that in that case, I would say okay, fine, maybe you have a point. Maybe there he's an aggressor, but then there.
Doggy, I think your microphone is cutting out. Hello?
Hear you.
Do you hear me?
I hear you.
You hear me? Okay. So his mic is cut out.
Yep.
Okay.
I see him talking. I can't hear him.
Yeah, me neither. Incarnation.
So I guess I'll fill the air. So the only thing that puzzles me is the ANCAP position on borders. I actually like borders. I don't know if I can handle a bunch of third worlders, moving into my neighborhood or into my community.
Well, you can have
I know the
private
state
neighborhoods.
Yeah, like HOAs.
Yeah. And you know the what you call it, the return to the land, those white people that are basically going together and they're creating their own little white land in somewhere in America. Yeah. That's perfectly legitimate in ANCAP. And so long as you're the owner of the land, you would have the right to bar anyone out. So yeah. We're us libertarians, we're actually not against discrimination. As long as it's your property.
Yeah, a complete voluntary system.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work on so like the borders, which is obviously real world examples?
It would be just private property borders.
Mexico.
Everybody would have their own little private property border. States will just sort of become smaller and smaller and smaller until everybody has sort of their own little private property borders. And then there could be large swaths of, I guess, voluntary communities of people who, or cities or things like that, assuming that they're the owner of the land, I don't have any problem with their barring any group of people they want. Also, like, when you talk about like importing a lot of third worlders, tariffs I think are a big reason why we tend to import a lot of people, because generally it's actually cheaper to just pay the people in their country to do the work and then import their goods. But because of tariffs, it's become cheaper to just import the person itself and then do that. So,
as before, I seem to remember a day and age where you didn't need a 35-year-old and his shithead son to cut your lawn. They didn't need to show up in a fucking 350 pulling all of the apartments in Home Depot on the back. You used to be able to get some kid in the neighborhood who used to do that, and the state came and said, no, you got to be licensed. Nope, you got to be, to cut someone's hair in New Jersey, I think it is, you have to have so many 100 hours recognized by the state in order to cut someone's hair. That's bullshit.
Yeah, speaking of that, there was a woman who just braided hair. She didn't cut hair or do anything too intricate. She merely braided hair, and they came to her and basically said that you have to get a cosmetology license. You got to spend this many hours in a class, and you got to pay this many thousands of dollars in this class just to learn all this stuff that you're not even going to use, and licensing kind of makes it so that the people who are already in the business, right, like when they license a new industry, they don't force the people who are already in the industry to get a license, right? Those people they're already in. So it's basically the people who are already in the industry. It's basically a way for them to keep out their competitors, right? That's why a lot of businesses, they actually support licensing laws. And another example would be taxi medallions in New York City. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but basically in New York City, you have to get a taxi medallion in order to drive a taxi back in the old days. I don't think they have it anymore because everybody just uses Uber now. But in order to get it, you had to go to the state, and you had to pay a lot of money, and it was only a limited amount, so they had to bid for it. So the people would bid up for it for like millions of dollars, and because there was just such a limited supply of taxis to go around. But the thing is, the people who support, but once Uber came around, the people who were within the taxi medallion business were pissed off because they're like, what the fuck? I had to pay all this money to get a taxi medallion, and now you got people using their own cars to drive people around. Now, I get why they're mad. Like, I get that. Like, I totally get why they're pissed. But the issue is not the Uber drivers. The issue was the state. Why is the state forcing somebody to get a medallion to drive somebody around? You know what I mean? Like, Uber has proven that pretty much anyone could drive anyone around. If you have a car,
No.
if you have
doesn't Uber mandate their cars to be like safe and like?
Well, they make it so that your car
people-
has to be before a certain amount of year,
Yeah.
and things like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if I wanted to, Incarnation, if you're near me, you could pay me $10 to drive you to the store in some rundown fucking pickup truck.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
I mean, what's wrong with that? No, I know that's legal, but I'm just saying, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think people should be allowed to do that, to make that choice.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I think like you giving your buddy a ride for $10 here and now and then, I don't think is a big deal. But if you're running a legit business where you're charging people legit money for it, then I think it's just a different scenario.
Well, I mean, that is a business. When you charge somebody to take you use your car, that is a business. I know it's not what you would normally think.
Yeah, but there's different.
Business,
yeah, I know, but then
right?
there's different implications, like your insurance changes, right? Because like your insurance now, like because you're driving your car more, so your insurance changes. Like there's just different implications if you're using your car for business. It just kind of changes things a little bit.
No, I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think there should be taxi medallions. I'm saying that thing is bullshit. You gotta at least agree with me on that.
Yeah, I think that like the taxi medallion that like forced people to like in those like old Crown Vics and like whatever and like basically monopolize the taxi game. Yeah, I don't think that was good. But I also think the inverse, where like letting Uber drivers drive like 25-year-old pieces of shit like that were clearly unsafe, wasn't good either.
Well, that's why Uber, they changed their standards. In fact,
Yeah,
if your car,
because the state forced them to.
well, if somebody's okay
their
with,
insurance company
what if
did.
I'm okay with somebody driving me in a rundown car? Worst comes to worst, they drop me off. I get another car.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I don't disagree with you to a certain extent, right?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, all this kind of comes down to the state sort of coming in and wagging their finger at people and being like, "Oh, I don't think you should do this," when fundamentally, like, who cares?
Well, I think
I
it's just
should be
the
allowed to
state.
do what I want to do.
I think the state. I think it's just the state trying to deal with a conflict ahead of time. So it's just like I don't want to deal with this person who's going to sue this Uber driver for like crashing because he drives a piece of shit that lost a wheel. So I'm just going to like prevent the conflict by making the Uber.
Well, that's why
driver
you have
a half-decent
insurance.
car.
That's why you have insurance.
Right,
Uber could
insurance.
just require people
Right,
to have insurance before they use their app.
Right, but the insurance doesn't mandate that the car is in good working condition.
But what if I'm okay with the car that's not in good working condition? What if I don't care? What if they have like a cheaper service where it's just like, oh, you could pay cheaper, but the car might be a little run down? What if I'm okay with that? Then it'll be like, it'll make it so that like more poor people are able to drive cars and afford to get driven.
Yeah, I mean that's why there's underground taxis, right?
Okay, so then we should get rid of the regulation.
But the regulation also prevents your monopolization at the same time, right? Like, so if you're going to say like, hey, I don't want medallions, like I don't want somebody to create an organization where essentially like they monopolize the entire industry and you have to get a medallion to be a taxi driver. Like I think there's a happy medium there.
Yeah, but the medallion thing was a state thing.
No, not really.
Yes, it
Like,
was. That was a state-run thing.
It was a semi-private thing.
Well, of course, private companies who are benefiting are going to want the state to take out its competition, right? Like, obviously, yeah.
Again,
but
like,
fundamentally,
again, like, I'm not saying that the state controlling medallion. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I fundamentally agree with you. Like, the medallion stuff was stupid. I fundamentally agree with you. It's monopolization. It's anti-competition. Like, I agree with you.
But competition, right? More regulation you have, the more consolidation in the industry you have.
I don't fully agree with that.
I mean, just look at the medical industry. Just look at the nuclear industry. Just look at all these industry or the industry. All of these industries are extremely regulated, and I don't think it's a coincidence at all that there's very few companies within those industries. There's very high consolidation.
Well, nuclear because it's incredibly expensive to do research and development for, and
because of regulations.
No, because the materials required to do research and development. In that
okay, but what about medical?
Expensive. Same thing. Like a lot of all of the advanced medical stuff is all like nuclear based, anyway. So
no. I'm talking about medical industry stuff. The reason why a lot of this stuff is expensive is because of patents and regulations.
Not really, no.
So, and you don't think that making it illegal for people to practice medicine who don't have a license, people who making it illegal for people to practice medicine if they come from another country who's also practice medicine from other country, you don't think that limiting the amount of people who are allowed to become doctors, making it illegal to buy insurance from outside of your state, you don't think those things make it more expensive or increase consolidation in the industry?
That's one of the biggest things too. Trump, real quick, Trump also ran on getting rid of state lines.
Say that again?
I think that's a big. Trump ran on getting rid of state lines for insurance.
That's a big thing.
So if you do have cancer, you can travel 3 hours to the next state, get a cheaper policy, and that directly brings down your. I think that's a big key factor.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to price.
There's like
I think
medical, all of these industries are super regulated.
I think this is very layered, but I would say that pretty much most of the Western countries, except for the United States, heavily regulate their medical industries, and they all have lower prices for healthcare than the United States does. So,
we subsidize
you know,
we subsidize our
you don't.
we
no,
subsidize our healthcare more than these other countries do.
and yet somehow your healthcare costs more than all the
Well,
other countries.
maybe
who just
that's
say full
maybe the
stop. You
reason.
can't ch-
Maybe the
wait,
reason
stop.
why.
One regulation would solve all of this. You can't charge more than this, right? But the U.S. is one of
Price
the only
controls
countries
just
that doesn't
don't
have
work.
No, it
that
wouldn't.
one.
Price controls don't
That
work.
wouldn't solve
It'd be
anything.
artificial.
So you incarnation, I love
Sure.
what you just said. Oh my God, America subsidizes its healthcare the most, and it's the most expensive. Huh? Maybe the reason why it's so expensive is because we subsidize it so much. Maybe if we didn't subsidize it so much, the prices would go down.
Well, no, because then every other country that has subsidized healthcare does it for cheaper and offers a better service. So I don't
At the point of
understand what your
service
point
or
is.
as a whole?
As a whole.
No, I don't think so. Oh, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
comparing countries, if in the United States we spend more money on our healthcare, so there's a reason
right, for
why,
worse
and we
service
have
than
more
countries that
regulations,
have universal.
and we have tons more regulations than these countries too,
Not really, no.
and we're tons
Sounds
of
like
dollars of
subsidizing
debt.
it is bad.
Yeah, when you subsidize anything, when the state subsidize anything, they make it so that more people are able to afford that good, but they don't increase the amount of that good. So when you make it so that more people are able to afford it, that means that more people are able to get it, but there's not an increase of the good being passed around. So that means that there's less to go around, thus increasing the cost
I mean,
on that
if you
few that's
take-
able to
if
go
you take-
around. That's
if you
basic
take
economics.
1% of, if you take 1% of people's salary and you dedicate it just to healthcare, you've pretty much covered everything you need. So
It's not true. Because if
About
you did
that.
that, you're not increasing the supply of healthcare. All you're doing is making it so that
yeah, you
more
are.
people are able to afford the few amount
Right,
of
you're
health.
doing a massive.
Hold on, you're not listening
you're
to
taking a
me.
massive. Yeah, dude, you're wrong though. You're doing a direct capital injection into the segment, which naturally means you're going to increase supply and
That's a
the demand is
Not
there.
if
so,
not if you are stifling the supply by putting tons of regulations in to make it harder for people to compete.
What regulations
Not
are
to-
preventing American companies from competing?
but
They literally
also-
charge the most in the
Okay,
world.
so
Like, I don't understand.
I will give you many examples. So just like I said earlier, we make it illegal for companies in private insurance companies to buy private insurance companies from outside of their state. We also make it so that
That's because
people who are
healthcare is regulated, but that's because healthcare is administered by the state. So that's
it
why they
shouldn't
typically
be
do that.
no, it's
just-
not in the United States.
Yes, it is.
We're talking about private insurance.
Yeah, but the private insurance operates in the state that regulates
But
the
why
healthcare.
what if I'm okay with buying an insurance outside of my state? Why should I not be allowed to do that?
Well, that insurance company might not be privy to the regulations of that state. So you would have to get an insurance company that operates in the state in which you need coverage.
But you
for.
do realize when you do that, you're limiting competition.
Not really.
Yes, you are. You're literally saying it's illegal for somebody else who's in another state to compete with the businesses within the state. And
No,
tell
you're
me
just
I'm
saying
wrong.
that
Tell me I'm wrong.
you're just saying that if an insurance company from South Carolina that doesn't have the same healthcare requirements as the company in North Carolina, that the company in South Carolina just has to operate
Yeah, but
at the
even
same
if they
standard
have-
as
even
the
if they
companies in North
do-
Carolina.
Even if they do, it's still illegal. So
No, it's not because
Yes,
no,
it
it's not
is.
because no, it's not.
it's illegal to
Because
buy health insurance outside of your state.
Look it up.
Right, but the reason for that is because the healthcare is administered by the state. So
It's
they're the
not. We're
ones who
talking
run
about
the-
private companies. You do know that, right?
private companies operate within a state.
Wait, I think hold on. I think you guys are talking past each other. I think what Incarnation is saying is that the states regulate the healthcare sector, the health insurance sector, and that's why you can't buy healthcare outside of your
Yeah,
state.
but I get that. But let's say that the health insurance outside of the state follows what's in that state. They still would not be allowed to sell their do what they
Yeah, I
want.
agree. That's retarded. Yeah, I agree. That's
Yeah, I agree that that's stupid.
Okay, so
but, like,
then, yeah, I know
progressive-
that, but the
wait,
state
stop. But
does that.
progressive. Wait, stop. But progressive, as an example, insurance company, like they have nationwide coverage for healthcare because their healthcare coverage that they give basically meets the standards for all of the
Yeah,
states.
because they're a monopoly. They're able to they're able to operate in every single state. Not every company has the luxury to be able to operate in every single state.
Right, but then you have right, so then you can have smaller insurance companies. Yeah, but then you can have smaller insurance companies who offer you a more specialized service that only operate within the confines of that singular state, so they can be like much more narrow.
But
in the
you
coverage that they
agree?
give you.
But wait, do you not
it's
agree
important
that
to
it's
note,
ridiculous?
though, that
Sorry, go ahead.
that Progressive is just a large corporation that has smaller entities under them. So you could still have Progressive policy as long as someone in that.
No, he's talking about the company
is
Progressive.
Yeah, but the company is but the company is made up of smaller agents who are licensed to sell the insurance in that particular state.
Oh, okay. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I got it. But again, you know, I mean, you would have to, but even you a second ago agreed with us that, yeah, it is kind of stupid to bar a company from outside the state to sell their insurance.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. I said if a state like North Carolina has higher standards than a state like South Carolina, then the state of North Carolina should have the rights to say, hey, if you want to
what if they follow those standards?
Let me finish, dude. Let me finish. If the state of North Carolina tells the state of South Carolina, hey, I have no problems with you operating out of South Carolina. I know it's a hell of a lot cheaper to operate out of South Carolina. The only thing I ask is that you meet my standards for coverage that you're going to give in my state. Then yeah, I don't see what the issue with that is.
But the state sees an issue with that.
Inhibiting competition. It's also just immoral.
But I also wanted to.
Yeah, you are inhibiting competition.
I wanted to point out something else. I'll go even a step further. I think one thing that our country does, and not just our country, but a lot of countries do, which is kind of stupid, is that they don't let you get medical treatment in other countries. Like, you could be, in theory, going to another country, getting your medical treatment at a pretty, like, accredited institution for a lot cheaper, and insurance could be paying a lot less for you to go there, right? Even with the flight tickets and whatever, and yet they don't do that for some reason.
Yeah, why do you think medical tourism? That's actually a really great point that you just brought up. Why do you think medical tourism is like so popular? Because they're going to countries where they have less regulation, and when they have less regulation, it costs less to get medical services, and sometimes there's a higher risk that goes with going to other countries.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the medical tourism you're talking about. There's a lot of people who do medical tourism because the United States offers the best or like the only kind of like treatment, whereas there's other countries that, you're right, just offer cheaper treatment. So there's different kinds of medical tourism.
Well,
that is true.
I just wanted to point out though that the reason why a lot of times it's cheaper is just because these countries have a higher supply of providers. And also
I wonder why.
It's because of certain kinds of regulations. Yeah. And they have.
Yeah, that's the point.
Well, that adds on to our point that I was, not to cut you off. But that kind of adds on to what we were just saying, which is essentially the state basically makes it illegal for people to practice medicine from other countries. They bar the amount of people who are allowed to get licenses.
Yeah.
They limit the amount of people who are allowed to get licenses. They make it illegal for you to buy from other states. They make it illegal for you to do this. They make it illegal for you to do that. They make it illegal for they make it so that your insurance has to cover certain things they would otherwise not. They make it so that your kids are
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, KingSithis. Okay, sure. You're the best doctor in your little Encapistan, utopia. Okay, you're the best doctor, dude. Like, by far the best doctor. Okay. Now, you offer a service to people. Okay. Right, and you offer you call it the KingSithis service, and he's like, "This is the best service around," and you've got a reputation as the KingSithis service, and the reason for that, KingSithis, is because you, as an individual, you've taken the time to perfect your craft. You've dedicated, you've invested tons of capital, tons of time, and you've become the best of the best. Okay, Your neighbor sees your success and decides to call himself KingSithis. And offer the exact same service, okay? Same service, right? But the difference, okay, is that he's got nowhere near the skill that you do. Okay, but he's claiming that he has the same skill as you do.
Okay.
How do you, KingSithis, okay, build value, okay, in what you do to show people that no, like I am the best. The reason I'm the best is because
You do
of
it through
this,
your
and
work.
this
You
guy's
do
an
it through
imposter.
showing it through your work, and the customers who
He's doing
buy
it
your
through his
stuff.
yeah. He's doing it through his work too. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
doing it
But
through
if
his
he's
work.
not very good, right? It'll show in his work.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's still stealing your customers.
He's not stealing
Well, he's
anything.
not
If
stealing
somebody,
anything.
if I buy,
course he is.
if somebody buys something that my competitor sells, they're not. That competitor isn't stealing anything from me.
No. This person is woefully inadequate at his job. Okay, and he's
Well, so
Didn't you
what?
inadequate at his
stipulate
job.
he's not earlier?
Let the market decide.
Yeah, let the market decide.
No, wait.
People
I'm
should be
asking
allowed
King
to choose.
Sithis, I'm asking. Okay, but KingSithis, you are allowed also, right, to engage in the market, right, and you're allowed to like find ways to build value. So how would you, KingSithis, if you're a smart business person, how would
I'd
you
sell
build
my
value
stuff.
to show?
And I let my work
Okay.
speak for itself, as most doctors do.
Okay, how else would you do that though? Would there be another way you would do that? No, that's not what most doctors do.
They don't let their work speak for
there-
itself.
No, actually, they don't.
Then how do they
I
do
mean,
it?
he could easily stand out front of his establishment and show all the successful root canal
Advertising.
he does.
Mm-hmm.
He could show the number of lawsuits that his competitor has, because all that information would be public.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah,
he could set
I
up a
could go.
competition.
There's also private
or he
accrediting
could, or he
agencies.
could set up a or he
Wait,
could
there's
set
also
up a
private
or he could set up a
accommodating
competition.
agencies, right?
Oh, sorry. Oh, so you would establish a private accrediting agency. So just a private.
No, there's
like,
such thing
sort
as a
of like-
private. There's such thing as private accrediting agencies, right? Such as in kosher
Right,
food.
So what would they do?
So you could
Yeah,
just
so
go to
what
a
would they
private
do?
accrediting agency. You could be like, "Hey, look at my work," and then you put their stamp of approval of my room
Okay.
on my work, and that'll
a good
incentivize
point.
people to buy my stuff
Okay.
over other people's stuff.
Okay.
Bang, bang, boom.
That's a good point.
Okay. Perfect. So what are you doing then?
Then more people are gonna buy my stuff
Why? Because you're building. You're building like some.
because
form
I
of
have the
accreditation,
accrediting. I have the accrediting.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, because you appear better.
Yeah, because I appear better.
But
Is there a point to
don't you
all
do
of
the
Wait, is
same
there like a
thing?
gotcha or a point to all of this? I don't understand.
No, the point is at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, like there'll come a point where you're gonna be like, this guy's an imposter. I'm not. The reason I'm not an imposter is because I've got this private accreditation telling me that I am the best at it. And that private accreditation is backed by all of the insurance companies, and basically it's the be all end all. That's my point at the end of the day, KingSithis, is you can re-milk it whatever
so you're
way
an
you
ANCAP
want.
now.
But no, you're a statist. Because
No,
all
I'm
you're
not.
doing is you're just kind of
What?
because all you're doing is you're just rewriting what the
Hey, can you
state already does.
Can
Define
you
a
explain
statist.
how?
Yeah, a central authority over a given boundary.
Yeah, where's the central authority here?
Well, at this point, it would be the confluence of like-minded people that KingSithis
Wait,
has
if
gathered
I'm
to say
if
that
I'm
he
on my own
is- that
property-
he is an accredited good doctor.
If I'm on my own
That's all
property,
voluntary.
if I'm on my own property and I have a gun and I point a gun at somebody who's trying to come on my property and I say, "Get the fuck out of here," and then they run off, am I now a state because I'm an authority over that area?
I mean, I guess
It doesn't even
depends how
have
you
to
wanna-
be like a state.
You do
recognized
realize,
by,
like, if
people
you-
go
if you
on
define-
Google all
Sure,
the
I
time.
mean,
Respectfully,
Leave-
like
leave
incarnation, you see the
reviews.
problem, right? If you
No.
define a state that broadly, then pretty much everyone who owns any property would basically be a state.
I mean, you can make that argument, but
But then they would make
they're
the,
not
the,
the
the
central
word
argument.
that,
they're
but
not
then,
the central.
but then
wait,
respectfully,
but
it would make it lose
they're
its
not the central
kind of
authority
make
now,
it
are they?
lose its. I know, but what I'm trying to
But
say,
they're
no,
not
no,
the
no,
central
no, I
authority.
agree with you. What I'm saying is that would kind of make the word state lose its meaning at that point, basically.
No, because if like if five property owners come together, right, and they create like some form of central authority, we're like, hey, we are the
How is it
people
a
in
central
charge
authority?
of these boundaries.
Well, I
that
mean,
cre-
if
that
it-
is,
I mean,
like,
one
like, by its
guy,
very
five
definition, a state,
guys,
right?
one guy, five guys. If you're a private property owner, then you're basically a state because you own property and you're an authority.
Yeah.
So basically, the
Yeah, I
word
would agree with
state.
that. And then if you
Then the
and then
word
if you
state
bring-
has
and then
lost
if you
all
bring-
meaning.
All right, and then if you no, not
McDonald's
really.
is a
But then if you bring
state.
in
Burger
five,
King is a
like,
state.
no,
Five
because they're not
Guys
the
is a
central authority. Because they're beholden
Yes, they are.
to the
They're
authority
this.
of the state.
No.
No,
They
because they're
are.
beholden to the authority of the
No,
state.
yeah,
No,
but
they're
let's
not,
say,
because
wait.
the
Let's
authority-
say,
no,
let's
man.
say if somebody went onto the restaurant, they could pull a gun out and kick them out, right?
No,
Yes, they could.
What?
no.
So if somebody tried to
What are you
rob the
talking
restaurant,
about?
they wouldn't have the right to shoot them or kick them out.
No. All right, sorry. If you're talking, if somebody
Okay.
walks into your restaurant and threatens you,
What?
sorry.
Yeah,
can you
yes.
re-clarify what you just said?
Okay, you would have the right to
Re-clarify
kick them
what you
out, right?
Jesus.
Obviously, right?
Sorry, no. Can you go back through your hypothetical? Sorry.
Okay.
Repeat what you just said.
If you're the owner of a restaurant,
I
you would
didn't
have
hear.
the
I didn't
right.
hear it all. Yeah.
Listen. It's fine. Just listen.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, like, if you're the owner of a restaurant and somebody tries to come in your restaurant and you say, "Hey, get the fuck out of here," and like, you could kick them out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then they're the central authority. The owner is the central authority of that restaurant, right?
No, because they couldn't kill them.
And what
Why would that
what if
make-
the guy what if the
What?
guy was gonna kill them?
Well,
Or
because if they
attack
had
them.
because if they had ultimate authority over their
What
property,
if the guy
they would be able to
refused-
kill them.
What if the guy refused to leave and says, "If like I'm not gonna leave." What do you think is? You think he wouldn't have any authority to be like, "Hey, I'm gonna shoot you if you don't leave"?
No,
Why not?
because in pretty much every single state, he wouldn't be allowed to do that. So no,
You wouldn't be allowed to shoot a trespasser if they refuse to leave. You think that?
no, only if they pose a threat to you.
Bro, in like a
I don't
stand your
think
ground
I don't
state,
think you're
you could
right
probably
about
fucking do
that.
that.
I don't think you're right about that.
Mm,
In Florida, you could
Yeah, I
probably
am.
fucking do that.
I mean,
No.
I mean,
You know the
even
laws of
I mean,
Florida?
Rick, putting the legal laws aside, ethically, like obviously, I think that you should be allowed to kick somebody. Like, if somebody's sitting in your property, like, you don't think you should be allowed to be like, get the fuck out of here. If you don't get out of here, I'm gonna shoot you. You don't think you should be allowed to do
Yeah,
that?
you can. Well, I would argue that you're not allowed. No, if somebody doesn't pose a
No,
direct
no,
threat
not.
to you.
I'm not
even if
talking
they're on
about like
your
the
property,
current law because I don't really know the current law. I'll be honest. But let's let's talk about like morally. Like if somebody's on your property, like say I'm sitting in your property, I'm sitting in your bathtub naked, and you say get the fuck out of my house, KingSithis, and then I say no, I'm gonna jerk my KingSithis stickis right in front of right now.
Yeah.
Like, would you not have the right to pull a gun out and be like, get the fuck out, or I'm gonna shoot you? Don't you believe you would have
I
the
wouldn't
right to
say
do
that
that?
you have. I wouldn't say that you have. I wouldn't say that you have unilateral right to like just kill him where he stands. But you definitely have.
Well,
a right
assuming
to, like,
that the person
stand your ground.
refuses to leave after you've said, if you don't do it, I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah, I still don't think you have moral grounds to shoot them.
I mean-
But it starts to get into a gray area. Like it starts to get pretty.
Come
gray,
on,
but-
like you've made it very clear that you're gonna shoot the guy if he doesn't leave. He's refusing to leave.
Yeah, dude. I don't.
I
think
feel
that
like it's.
have moral
I mean, I
grounds to
feel like there
shoot.
has to be a
don't-
reason. You have to be allowed to shoot him, right? At some point.
I mean, unless they're a threat, I don't really see the justification. Like, you can physically remove them. I think you have to start lower. Like, you can physically remove
Well,
someone doing that, but you can't
assuming
immediately
he's
shoot
a
them.
big guy,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, and you're not
Like, I mean,
able
it's
to do
gray.
so.
It's getting too
You need a
subjective.
gun.
Like
You
it's
need
getting
a,
too subjective.
yeah. Like, but what I'm trying to say is like morally,
I wouldn't be able to shoot him. I wouldn't be able to shoot them if there's just some fat dude jerking off in my bathtub. Like honestly, morally, I wouldn't be able to shoot them.
but you would be allowed to remove them, right? Like physically.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. of
Okay, so
course.
then that would
Physical removal.
wouldn't that make you the authority over your property then?
not the ultimate authority, you know.
Why not?
Who's the ultimate authority?
Who would be
then?
the ultimate authority over your
unless
property?
you're saying like, well, I mean, unless you're saying that like there is no consequence to me murdering the guy, then yeah, sure. I guess
Well, I
I'm
mean,
the ultimate authority. I can murder
let's put
him.
murdering aside. Let's say you literally like a cartoon. You picked him up by his fucking shirt and yanked his ass out of your house. Would you be allowed to do that?
Yeah, if I had the capacity. Yeah, if I had the capacity to do it without murdering him, for sure. I mean,
Assuming,
even if you're like even in your
Okay,
even
so
in your
wouldn't
own
that make
purview, I
you
would
the
be allowed to
authority
murder
over
him.
your house, or at least the
Like if I would have look here, if I have ultimate authority over my property, that means that I can do whatever the fuck I want to whoever the hell I want on my property. So in
That's
your
not-
purview, if somebody is just sitting in my bathtub jerking it, I would be allowed to shoot them and bury them 6 feet deep in my backyard.
Okay, but well, I would say ultimate. When I defined, say, ultimate authority, I would say the authority. Well, I wouldn't say ultimate authority. I would say you have the authority to do what you want with your property, assuming that you're not violating the NAP. That's what I would say. Now, if you're not violating the NAP, like, should you not be allowed to do what you want with your property? Like, I don't see what the problem is.
Does violating an NEP give you blanket like right to kill somebody?
No.
Okay, so then what's the difference? I don't have ultimate authority.
So,
then?
for instance, well, there's not
What
much
is ultimate
difference.
authority?
The essentially it would be the idea that, like, if let's say if somebody comes onto your property and tries to rob you and shoot you or maybe do some violent, then you would be allowed to shoot them. But if you're on your own property and somebody walks on your property, and you know you would have the right to tell them to leave, like, right? You would have the ultimate. You would have
but
the
I wouldn't have the right to
authority.
shoot them, would I? Like, I wouldn't have the right.
No,
to
no,
shoot
but you would
them,
have to.
right?
No, no, I know that, but I'm saying you would have the right to tell them to leave, right?
Well, then, so I don't have ultimate authority over my property.
What
Yeah,
is
but I
ultimate authority?
don't believe in ultimate authority. We believe in authority so long as you don't violate the NAP.
Right, and I would say that somebody who's on my property jerking off is violating my NAP. And
Yeah, so if they're violating the NAP,
beholden of ultimate authority, me as beholden of ultimate authority on my property, I have the right to murder them on the spot.
so you do have ultimate authority.
No.
Well, I'm just telling you, like, based on your purview, I should be able to murder him on the spot.
No, it doesn't follow.
No, not unless he's like
No.
violating the NAP in some way.
Yeah, and him being in my property and me being unable to remove him is a violation of my NAP, and therefore gives me right to kill him on the spot.
If you would have to tell him to leave, and if he doesn't, then you would be allowed to.
Great.
But that would mean that you have authority over your land, basically.
Yeah, I have ultimate authority over what happens on my property. Yeah,
So you're a state.
I can murder him on the spot.
So you're a state. So every
Nobody said
property
you can
owner.
murder him on the spot.
So every private
I'm
property
using-
owner.
I'm using your
Typical shoot
purview.
first,
I'm
think
using
later.
your purview. All right?
Yeah,
I'm
it isn't
using
our
your
purview.
So again,
if there
every
is no-
person that
if
is
there
a
is
private
no
property
state-
owner.
if
Wait,
there
wait.
is no
Incarnation.
state-
Incarnation. Wait. Every person that is a private property owner essentially is a state under your purview.
No, under your purview.
No. Because we
I
don't
told you what a
define a
state
state. We don't define a state in the same way that you do. What I'm
Well,
critiquing
you do.
is the way
You
that
just-
you're defined a
you
state.
do.
I
You
don't.
just
'Cause
you just go about a weird way to do it.
Yeah, how do you define state then?
he says like a thin
Central
authority.
authority over a given boundary.
That would mean that any
The
private
central
property
authority.
owner would be a state essentially.
Are they the central authority over a given boundary?
Well, yeah, your land. If I'm the owner of a land, yeah.
Well, currently in the continental United States, that's not how it works. The central authority in the United States is a bunch
they
of
don't-
private property. The way a state works is a bunch of private property owners coming together and
No.
defining the laws. of
That's
their,
not how
their
that. That's not how
boundaries.
that. That's
No,
not.
they're criminals. They're not
I mean,
private
that's
property
criminals.
owners.
That's how it works. That's
No,
how
They
it works for
pretend
you
that
as
they
well.
own the land. They
Oh,
don't own anything.
Mhm.
so they
You
just went
pretend
to
that
the
they don't
Indians. They
because
went to the
according to you,
Indians
they
and just
didn't
asked
get a two
nicely.
just means.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, they went to the Indians and asked
Yeah,
nicely.
exactly. Yeah.
It's your theory of ownership.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you determine
Well,
who's
you
the
don't
owner
have
of
a theory
something?
ownership.
I
You
don't have a
can't.
theory of ownership?
No, you don't.
Really? Okay, so you're
Mhm.
telling me what I have. Okay, interesting.
I already
Yeah,
know.
I didn't
already
ask
know
about
all the
my
end cap
theory. You
talking
can't have-
points,
hold on, you
yeah.
can't
I
have
already
a
know all
theory
the end cap talking points. You're gonna start talking
I'm
about some
asking
convoluted
for
idea
your
of
theory.
homesteading and yada yada.
I'm
yada.
asking for
Like
your.
as if
I
you
asked
just
for
like
your
if you
theory
like
of
mysteriously
ownership, by the
showed
way.
up on like some like random land somewhere that
Incarnation.
you can now homestead and
Incarnation.
just steal it from
Oh, wait,
somebody.
wait, guys. I don't
Incarnation.
understand. Did we not mix our labor with the land here? How do we not own it?
Who's we?
Who's we?
Americans.
I didn't do any of that.
I never mixed my land with America.
Are you in America? Well, I guess maybe not because you're not part of the nation because you're
I wasn't
not.
alive
Well, actually,
then.
I don't know. Maybe you are. Well,
But
yeah, but I
wait,
think we
wait,
can
wait,
agree
wait.
that
One
we
second.
that we put labor into our current land, no?
One second,
think we-
brother.
okay, so
One
somebody-
second. Just give me 1 second, okay? So, incarnation, fundamentally, like, how do you determine whether or not somebody owns something?
Well, I have my system, but I'm trying to
Incarnation, I
figure
was
out
asking
more
Incarnation.
about your
I
was-
system.
Zan.
As a measure of reality, unfortunately, it's might makes right.
So might makes
Very
right.
incoherent. Jesus.
Yeah, so your ability to defend your given boundary in this current meta, like a state's ability to defend itself, it designates its boundaries.
Got you. So if somebody has the might to rape someone, does that make it right?
Nope.
So you don't believe in might
Might
makes right.
Oh, of course I do. I mean, it ultimately is what it comes down to. It doesn't matter whether or not I believe in it or not. If somebody is
That's
more
a right
powerful
to
than me,
That's
and they
not
can
what we
rape-
asked you.
if
We
somebody-
asked you,
if
how do
somebody
you
is more
determine
powerful
whether or not
than
somebody is the
somebody-
owner of
Makes right
something?
means, dude.
if
Yeah, this guy's
somebody
shut.
rapes me and I'm incapable of defending myself, there is nothing I can do.
I understand
Yeah,
that. But you said
Well,
that
that's my
might
whole-
makes right. Right?
Yes.
Okay, so then
Unfortunately,
so if
that's
somebody
the way it goes.
Mhm. So if somebody has the might to rape you, that means they're right. From your perspective.
Unfortunately, if I cannot defend myself, then in that given time, that would be sort of how you would have to accept it.
Yeah, so rape
that's-
isn't always wrong. It just depends on the situation from your perspective.
Oh, it just depends how you decide to frame it, right?
Well, that's how you're framing it because you said you believe in might makes right.
Because if I am a state, right, that has a lot of might, and my state says that raping is not good, and I defend myself using stronger might than somebody who says rape is good, then it still makes might as right. And it
Okay,
just-
so
it just
rape is
depends how you
good.
want to
Might-
So
contextualize
incarnation,
the
you
question.
basically what you're saying is that let's say incarnation is on an island. He really wants to hang out and just be left alone, but there's this other guy who has like really really strong and he wants to rape you. Even though you don't want it, you would say it would be right for him to rape you because he has the might to do so.
Well, I don't think it's relevant what's right or wrong at this point. Is what can you
So
do
then
about
why'd
it?
you say might makes right if you don't believe it's relevant whether or
Because
not
that's
it's right
what it
or wrong?
ultimately comes down to. Like,
Okay, so
even
then
if
you believe
say
right
is rape.
even if
So
you,
the rape
look,
in that
look,
situation
look,
is right.
KingSithis, how do you defend your
You're kind
virtues?
of arguing in
No,
bad
listen.
faith. King.
Yeah.
You're
Incarnation.
saying that it doesn't matter what is morally right or wrong because at that point they have the power to.
Zendrick, what does might make right
Make
That
mean?
has
their
nothing to do with
will.
rights.
Zendrick, what does
Wait,
might
let
make
him
right
finish.
mean?
Let him finish.
Yes.
dude.
What does might make right
wait,
mean?
Wait. Yeah. Okay.
Let him
Yes.
finish. Okay.
The phrase might makes right talks about I guess the moral goodness about conquering other people, but just because he used that phrase, I don't think he knows like what that kind of means. His point is just
I
it
know
doesn't matter
exactly what
what is morally right
doesn't.
or wrong.
I know
It's
that.
just that it's just that in a real
I get
world,
what. Listen,
whoever is
Zendrick, I
stronger is
know,
going
I
to
understand your
enact their
point.
will.
I understand.
Okay,
I know
then
this.
you trying make that point's kind of in like bad
Wait.
faith.
Is it bad faith? Because he's the one that made that argument, did he not?
Yeah, but
Am I
you
not
know, like,
responding?
what he's-
Am I not responding
but
to his
you
argument?
but you keep going in circles though. You know what he meant though.
Yeah, then
That's
he's not
not-
talking about
Okay,
rights.
that's
then.
okay. So then he doesn't
Of course he
believe
does.
that might makes right. I'm trying to prove that he doesn't believe in might makes right, but he's saying that he does.
It's a fundamental truth. It's whether or not I
Okay,
believe
so
or not is
Zendrick,
irrelevant. It's a
you just
fundamental
heard what he
truth.
just said. You heard what he just said,
Oh
right?
my god.
You heard what he
Yeah,
just said?
It means the principle that in reality, whoever is stronger is going to enact their will.
Yeah,
But
doesn't mean they have the
that's
right
not
to.
what might makes right means. That's not what might makes right. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I know you know, but he doesn't.
But you're being a sophist.
Then explain that
That's
to
not the
him.
point.
Then explain that to him.
I think he gets that now.
How about
But
you
he doesn't
explain? No,
get it.
explain it to him.
This is
Explain it
the
to him.
concept.
Dude, I got it right from the beginning, man.
No, you didn't.
No, you don't.
Okay, no, you
This is
don't.
Incarnation, you're not
sophist.
talking about rights.
This is soft.
No,
this is sophist
Zendrick,
maxing.
why are you explaining to him?
Yep.
Explain it to him because
This is
apparently he doesn't
sophist
know.
maxing. Well, it doesn't. Again, that doesn't matter. That's not what he's arguing over.
It is what he's
okay?
arguing.
Your point should have been, well,
Okay.
I'm talking about the morals. That should have been your response to that. To him,
That
misquoting
is
that to
what I
That's what Cithis was talking
said.
about.
That is what I said.
Ain't
Again,
Okay, shut up, Zendrick.
again,
Yeah, it's not.
Oh,
it's
shut
not
up, boy.
Cithis.
it's pretty simple, guys. If it's pretty simple, guys. If a group of people who thinks raping is good are stronger than me, the only thing I can do to beat them
Yeah, you're
is
not
to
talking
be
about rights then,
stronger
again.
than
So you're
them.
not. Then you don't
right?
believe in
So
might makes
that-
right.
So, but that is
I'm
fundamentally
Christian,
what
so
it
no.
is.
No. Might that okay? What do you think the definition of might makes right means? Tell me, Incarnation.
person with the most authority can assert their will.
No,
How does that have
that's
anything to do with
no, no,
rights?
no, no, no. That's not what might makes right means, Incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
Might makes right
Really what it
means
means.
that, listen to me, right is a moral prescription. You agree with me on that, right?
No.
No.
What?
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 What does right mean then?
It's a construct of understanding between
It's a construct,
people.
right?
It's an ought statement. Yeah, it's an ought
That's
statement.
prescriptive,
that
right?
we
That's a moral
ought-
So
prescription.
ought means
that we ought treat each other this way.
An
But there's
ought,
no like
an
authority.
ought, and
There's
an
no-
ought
there's
is a
no-
moral prescription, correct?
Not really, no.
what? That's what it is by definition. Are you crazy?
What?
Yo,
Not really,
this
no.
guy's
Okay.
mentally insane.
Could you
Yeah,
give
what
me the
does ought mean?
definition
Okay,
of
you
ought?
guys gotta understand that we are chronically on the we do this.
No,
shit
he's not. This guy's
24/7.
being. This guy's
I don't know if
conflating.
this guy does. Well, yeah,
Right.
no, but like, let's just have some like.
Okay, so ought
understanding with him
means
because he's
okay.
new to
I'll
this.
give you guys the definition of ought. Ought
No,
it means
I'm
what
pretty
should be
fine.
done specifically in a moral, normative, or rational sense, right? So it's a moral prescription. It's basic. So if I say I think you ought give to the poor, I'm basically saying I believe you should give to the poor. That's a moral prescription.
realm?
I'm saying you should do this. I'm saying I'm prescribing to
So
you.
I'm just
saying
gonna
you should.
apply. I'm just gonna
So if
apply
you
Occam's
say-
razor
wait,
and
let me
reject your
finish.
definition. No, wait, stop. So I'm just gonna reject your definition, and I'm gonna use a more equitable definition of ought, which is used to indicate duty or correctness, typically when criticizing someone's action.
Yeah,
That
that's
would be
still
a much more
prescriptive.
appropriate.
Yeah, that's a prescription.
yeah,
That's a
much more
moral
appropriate
prescription.
definition of ought.
That's a
No,
either way.
there's
That's a
nothing
moral
about morality
prescription.
there.
What is a
That's-
prescription?
Nothing about morality. Correctness doesn't have to do with
Hold
morality.
on. What is?
How do you
What is
define
morality
correctness? How do you determine whether or not something's correct?
a proper way of doing things
Yeah, but how do you determine that?
What are we arguing over here?
through experience?
Okay. So morals have nothing to do with ought.
Hmm?
So if I said you
morals
ought give
are
to the
literally an ought
poor,
statement.
so if I say you ought give to the
Yes,
poor,
right. Yeah, morals are an ought state. Are normative, really. Who would have thought? Yeah,
Yeah.
So rights have to do with what is right, right? What is good, right? That's normative,
No, not
Permissible.
really.
at least. I mean,
Not really.
what? What are rights?
Not really. A
Well,
right is a
how did you
duty. Is a duty by the state towards a citizen, if you want to put it that way.
a duty, how do you determine whether or not that's a duty? Isn't it
How do
based
the
on
state have any
typically
moral
duties?
prescriptions?
I mean, it depends on the kind
It's
of
like
state
that
you have. I
Family
guess
Guy
if you
when
have
the donkey
a
says
democracy,
Kevin
usually
Bacon
people
wasn't
do.
in
If you have a
Footloose.
dictatorship, then the king or the monarch does.
Well, yeah.
Duties are
I
normative, by the
think-
way.
Yeah, say I think the question is like more of how do you figure out like what like the rights of the countrymen are.
No, that's not what we're asking.
Well,
that has
okay,
nothing
but I
to do
think
with what
that,
we're asking.
okay, but that does tie into like your point, like that is a morally like subjective thing, somewhat.
When you say you ought do X, you are not describing a fact about the world. They are making a normative claim about what should be done. If you want, I can also, anyways, it's basically a moral duty. You ought tell the truth. So if I say you ought give to the poor, that's a moral prescription. I'm saying you should do this. So how this ties back to what I was saying.
You can
hold on,
add
let me
moral
finish.
in it all you want, but it doesn't require morals. Like it really doesn't.
What do you think a moral
Yes,
is?
it does. You agreed that morality
really
is about
doesn't.
ought statements.
Yeah. What do you think morals are?
Sure.
You literally said that earlier. Yeah, you said that earlier,
Yeah,
so you
sure.
agreed.
It's a
Then
framework
you're
of
pretending
oughts.
like you
Yeah, it's
don't.
it's a framework of
Yeah,
ought
so
statements. Yeah, that's
then
what
it's a
morals
moral
are, yeah.
and oughts are moral prescriptions.
What's this guy saying? I can't hear him.
Me?
No, this guy was saying something.
I can't hear anyone.
My say my mic's not on, dude.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was seeing your
Hallucinating.
face move, so I thought you were talking.
No, I was just saying more like oughts are obviously moral. Like we're not trying to catch you in any gotchas here. Like this is like I feel like this is pretty basic.
Well, it's just a game of semantics, right? Like you want to lock yourself into like morals, but like morals.
Yeah,
are
and
just
you're
an
not
ethic- it's just an
understanding
ethics
what
framework, right?
morality
It's just-
means. But then you're
Yeah, I don't think you
also-
understand what morals are. Like,
Jesus.
what do you think
literally
morals
a
are?
framework of oughts.
Okay,
A
so then
framework of
and
Yeah, so you're
odds
contradicting what you said earlier.
and odds are moral prescription and
No.
are moral prescriptions.
Oh my God.
Correctness doesn't necessarily have to do with morals, man. Like a correct way
Are you-
of doing something doesn't necessarily have to do with morals. So like you're
How do you
being
de-
super narrow, and you're like, oh, I'm going to define it
Talking about
strictly to
moral
morals, but it doesn't
correctness.
necessarily have to.
Yeah, but they're talking about
We're not
moral
talking about, like, it's
correctness.
functionally correct or something. We're talking like is this the correct way to assemble this item? We're talking about what is morally correct. That's
Mhm.
what when Sithis invokes the term correctness, I believe he's talking about normative correctness. What is good? What is permissible?
Mhm.
What is
Yeah, and that's entirely subjective, right? Like that's entirely subjective. None
We
of
don't
that is
disagree
grounded
with that.
in
We don't
really
disagree with that.
anything.
What we're saying is that
That
it
doesn't
is
really
a
have to do
moral
with what we're
prescription.
talking
Like it
about.
is a moral prescription. That's all we're saying. An ought is a moral prescription. Like that's what we're saying.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because your ought could
It
be
is
immoral
relevant, and
by
I'll
your own
explain why it's
virtue.
relevant. I can
So
explain
if
why it's
somebody-
relevant.
if
Wait,
somebody
incarnation,
sets up
stop.
if
Incarnation.
somebody
One
sets
sec.
up a framework
sec.
of oughts that are in
Incarnation.
your purview immoral, your only ability to fight against that is through stronger might. Like it's
I
literally
understand
categorically
that,
is what it
but
comes
just
down
because
to.
you have might does not mean you're right.
might has nothing to do with morals.
Yeah, might and morals are not the same.
Keep asserting. You keep acting as though like saying that I can overpower you. Like that has nothing to do with whether you have the right to not be overpowered.
Exactly.
Literally nothing
If
at all.
if I have all the might
Completely
and I
irrelevant.
decide what
Yeah, it's
if I
completely
have all the
irrelevant.
might, no, it isn't, because if I have all the might and I
Demonstrate the
decide
relevance.
what's moral, if I have all the might and I decide what's moral,
What do you mean you're
Okay.
deciding what's moral?
I
Okay, so
decide
for
what's
instance, let's
moral
say you're on
because
an
I'm-
How
island
you
I'm the one.
and you want to rape and somebody wants to rape you, and they have the might to. You would say that that person
There's
is
a
morally
fundamental
right.
there's a fundamental misunderstanding here of like power dynamics.
So then
But
you're
aren't they
saying.
deciding what's
Really
So
right?
then, okay, wait. So then you're saying that there's a difference between having the strength to do something and being right in doing that thing.
Listen, the person with the
Wait,
most-
answer. Wait, I
most
want to answer
strength
yes or no. I
will
want to answer yes.
decide
Wait,
what
stop.
is
I don't
right.
care. Everything that you're saying
Dude,
after
like, it's really
everything that you're saying,
simple.
I'm
Like, I
going to
don't
repeat
understand
myself.
what's
I'm going to
so
repeat my question to
complicated
you
about
after
it,
you're done
man.
babbling. Go ahead.
Like,
When you're done
I don't understand
babbling,
what's so
let me know when you're done
complicated about
babbling.
this.
Okay, so when you say that it's still wrong to rape the person, you're differentiating between a person having might and being right, right?
Dude, it's irrelevant.
Yeah,
That's
I just
com-
want to.
that's
I just want a
right
quick
on
yes or no.
topic.
It's irrelevant.
I just want a quick yes or
Ironically,
no.
right
It's
on topic,
irrelevant.
dumb fuck.
I just want a yes or no.
It's irrelevant.
It is relevant.
How is it
It's
irrelevant?
Okay.
It's
So
irrelevant.
incarnation. So you do believe in might makes right. I just want a yes or no.
What?
It's a fact, man. It's just what
Okay.
it comes
So you
down.
think
it's
that
what it
rape
ultimately
is
comes
okay?
down to.
Rape is perfectly okay
No.
so long as you have the might.
No, I
Okay.
personally
But
No,
that's
don't.
right.
No.
then you don't believe that incarnation. You don't believe that.
Listen, if somebody who has more might than me believes
Yeah,
that
we're
rape is
talking
right,
The
like,
Yeah, that's
what do you want me to
right.
do?
Like,
Cedric,
talking
now do you
theoretical.
understand
Like-
why I was going down that road? Because he
I
clearly
know,
doesn't
okay, yes,
understand
you
what
know
I'm
what?
saying.
I am sorry, I did not realize how deep he is in this. We're talking theoretical. What your moral framework is. We're talking about that, not in the actual real world. How you can
Well, then what's the
impose
point
your
if we're just
morals
going to talk about metaphysics, which is just plainly illogical, like all of NCAP
Not
is? Then
even-
why are we even talking
Literally
about it?
ethics.
We're trying to see how
Ethics
this
are
can comport to
irrelevant?
reality.
Ethics are irrelevant?
Meta-ethics is completely irrelevant. Yeah, meta-ethics is completely irrelevant. Yeah, of course.
I mean, accusing, right? So like ethics do matter, but I get your point. Is like, okay, so if these guys were trying to argue that yes, we need to like push like this system in our country, yes, I get your point. Like, well, how are you guys gonna do that? That's fine, but that's not what like is being talked about right now. I get that point, but that's not like that's not like like what they're trying to ask about.
He just
Dude,
completely doesn't
if you're
understand
asking me,
what
dude,
we're saying.
If you're asking me, right, whether or not might makes right, I unfortunately, as much as like I disagree with it, I have to agree with it because in principle, right, if I have a moral prescription that I want to uphold, it requires me to have a certain amount of might to defend it. Otherwise, my moral prescription is irrelevant.
Yeah, your ability to defend it is separate from like the
Yes,
moral
it's
position
not
itself.
irrelevant. I think it matters, but yes, I would agree. In reality, that is an aspect that does matter. But again, we're not speaking about that aspect right now.
Might makes
Then what's the
happen.
point of talking?
You know,
if
I'll
we're-
give you that.
Dude,
But
if
might
we're
does
not going
not
to talk
make
about
right.
how things work in reality, then why are we even talking about this?
I
We're just
think
talking about
thoughts
utopia.
do
Because
matter.
ethics
talking about
apply
what's
to
okay.
reality. Ethics apply to reality.
Mm-hmm. And
Ethics is just about
even in
determining what you
meta-ethics,
should do.
In reality. Yeah.
fundamentally, okay, dude, fundamentally in meta-ethics, I think it's very important that a virtuous and right country that has all the right moral prescription has the most amount of might to defend that moral
So
prescription.
then you don't believe in might makes
for
right.
its people, not only for its people, but for other people. Yes.
Then you don't
Okay.
believe in might makes
I
right.
have to.
Then you don't believe
Oh
in
my
might
God,
makes
this is
right.
so fucking stupid.
Okay, and
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's not might makes right. That's mixed law. You do realize that, right?
Yeah.
Because if another
Rights
country
are
came in
laws.
that had more might than you,
Rights,
that were a
rights
Nazi
are laws, dude.
dictatorship, you would not support them.
okay.
Like if a Nazi dictatorship just came out of nowhere and just like invaded America, would you just support them because hey, might makes right?
Do you remember the World War II? Right, there's people who fought.
Yeah, but if
against
they
that with
succeeded,
more
let's say
might.
if they
Right, so
succeeded,
the
Would
more,
have-
It asked you a
the more
hypothetical
incredible,
question.
the
it's a
more
hypothetical
incredible might
question.
of
You're
the
dodging the
Allies,
question.
the more
based-
incredible might. The more incredible might of the Allies won over the less
That's not my
incredible
question.
might
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
of the
It's
bad
irrelevant to my question.
guys.
It's irrelevant to my
Hey, you
question.
do know it was a hypothetical, right? It wasn't about what actually happened in World War
Yeah.
II.
You do realize you do know what a hypothetical is, right?
Well, who was right or wrong in World War II?
Huh? Obviously,
he asked
America.
you.
That's irrelevant to my question. Obviously, I
Not
think
what
the
he asked
Nazis
you.
were
Why
wrong.
is it irrelevant? You're invoking
Obviously,
the
I
Nazis.
think the
You're invoking
Nazis were wrong.
He-
The question
he
that I
asked
asked
Okay,
you,
so do you believe?
you
So do you
fuckhead,
think,
listen,
so do you think that
Incarnation,
the United
shut up.
States was
Incarnation.
right? No, wait, stop. Do you
Incarnation,
think that the
shut
United
the
States was
shut
right
up.
in
Shut
exerting
up. Shut
more
up.
might against
Shut
the
up.
Germans?
No,
do you
that-
think
listen
might
to
makes
me.
right in that case?
No, just because you have the might does not make it right. Whether or not you're right is not determined by whether or not you have
defeating
might.
so the Allies defeating the Germans was not the right thing to do.
Not because they have the might, but because they were killing people. They were murdering and
Well,
genociding
the only
people.
way they could defeat the Germans is by having more might, though.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing that you need. Listen, I'm not disagreeing that you need might in order to enforce your will
Okay, so
against
does
other people.
so-
That
okay,
doesn't
so does
make
the
it
Allies-
right.
so
It
does the
doesn't make
Allies
it
using-
right. Listen,
But I'm asking
Incarnation.
in this case.
That
I'm asking in
listen,
this case, does the
Incarnation.
listen.
Incarnation. That does not make it right. Just because someone has the might, if I have the might to rape you right now, Incarnation, does that make it right or wrong? Yes or no?
Again, I'm going to ask you the question.
No,
Did the
answer
Allies
my
beating
question.
The Germans, was
No,
that
answer
right?
my
Was that
question.
right?
Incarnation, if I have the
No.
might to rape you right now, am I right?
I'm not engaging in this. I'm not engaging in this
Okay.
dialogue.
Okay.
I'm asking you to
So
answer
you
the
don't-
question.
So you
very
don't believe in
plainly.
might makes right.
I'm asking
I
you to
thought you-
answer. I'm asking you
You
to
don't
answer.
believe in
Incarnation,
might
you
makes
don't
right.
answer asking another
plainly,
question.
okay?
Since it's already asked you a
asking
question.
I
I'm
asked
asking
you
you
a
to
question
answer the
first, and you're not
plainly,
listening,
okay?
and you're not
It
answering. You're
is
dodging the question.
Allies
Oh my
beating
God.
are the Allies beating the Germans.
I've answered
with
your question
more
Doesn't
already.
might,
matter.
The right thing to do.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Now answer
Then-
my
then-
question.
then
Why did you never
why are we
answer
talking-
Sithis'
Okay, so
question?
if somebody
Doesn't
has the
matter.
might,
You're not
let's
answering
say
my question. Why
Incarnation.
would it matter?
No, you didn't
Incarnation
answer his
is on an
question.
island. Incarnation is on an
I'm
island,
not going to talk to him
and
about
somebody
rape.
has the
I'm not even
might,
talking to him about rape.
and somebody has the might to
I'm
rape
not even
you.
talking to him about rape.
Do you have the right to stop
I'm not even
them?
talking to him about rape.
Okay, so Incarnation believes that rape is okay. No problem.
Yeah, King. I don't think he can like understand abstract thought. So I would just give up. This is-
Yeah,
this is
I don't know
not-
what to say.
is
This guy's a
I
fucking
think, I think
retard.
neither of you are capable of abstract
Incarnation
thought,
thinks
actually.
rape is
I'm
okay.
I'm gonna
I
ask the
think you
question
can-
again.
Incarnation
I'm gonna ask the
literally
question
said
again. So
rape is
you
okay.
said that the
Incarnation,
Germans
why do
were
you think
wrong
rape is okay?
and the Allies were right in
Why do you
beating the
think rape
Germans,
is
right?
okay?
You agree with that?
Why do you think rape
So
is
you
okay?
agree.
No, no.
Why do you think
again,
rape is okay?
The Allies are not right because they beat the Germans. They're right because they ain't genocide 6 million people. That's what
Exactly.
makes them
I
right.
said that already. He
Okay,
didn't
not
listen
right
to
how
because
did
me.
how did the
beat them.
Allies end? So how did the Allies end the genocide
They
of 6 million
used
people?
might.
They
They
enacted
used might.
their will
Oh,
by
so
might,
okay, so in
but
But
this
that
not
case,
doesn't
so
what
in
makes
this
it
mean-
morally
case,
correct.
okay, let me clarify. So let
There's
me
a
just clarify.
difference.
So in this case, let me just clarify. So in this case, using might to stop a genocide is right.
Sure.
Yes, but it's not
Okay, so might
right
makes
Okay.
right.
because
Glad we agree
you're
with each
using
other.
might.
No,
But
no,
it's
no,
not right
no,
because
no,
you're
no.
using might.
Glad
No,
we
no,
agree with each other.
Yeah, and you're
Okay.
going back down
You're
this
an
fucking
idiot, bro. I
retarded
don't know what the
path
fuck to
again.
tell you, dude.
Yeah, hold on,
sorry,
hold on.
Right,
I'm not
Just
trying to be
because-
dick, but you are like a standard D lower than
Hold
like
on.
the mean IQ. Abstract thought. This is again. These are two separate issues.
This is an abstract thought,
Using-
dude. This
no,
is an
yes,
abstract
it is.
thought,
Yes,
dude.
it is. Yes, it is.
This is an
What
abstract
is
thought.
what? Yes, yes, it is. What is morally right is different from what the best moral framework is. Basically, what is morally correct is different from what you can make is like the law in the land.
Yes,
Those are
taking
two separate
down
things.
taking down a genocidal regime is morally right, and to do that, you need more might. So it is might makes right.
No, you
But
can't.
that's
You're not.
my
what the
God.
phrase
That's not
talks
why.
about.
That's not
The
why
phrase
it's right.
talks about a moral subject framework.
Oh,
which
bro, this guy's the
what is
biggest
morally
fucking retard
correct
I've ever
is
talked to in my
only
life.
about what society wins.
This
That's
guy's a-
what
oh my
might
God.
makes right means. It is a moral moral subjective framework where the victors are what is morally right. That's different than like what you are saying.
So now
No.
that we answered your question, are you going to answer
Yes, it
my
is.
question now?
No,
Okay.
It is. I believe it is the colloquial understanding
got-
of
just
the
to
phrase,
just to
might
let you
makes
know,
right
Zan,
refers to that
he got
framework.
upset when I didn't answer his question, but then as soon as I answered his question and I say, "Hey, now are you going to answer my question?" He said no.
I get.
I haven't even
yeah.
I haven't even
This is
replied to
brutal.
anything. What was your question? Ask me a
Hold on,
question
can you-
again.
Okay. So
Both these are
you're on
answered.
an island. Somebody has the strength to rape you. Are they right?
Are they right?
Yes.
Not in my perspective, no.
Hold on, but they have the might, so doesn't
Yeah,
that
but they
make-
have
if,
the might.
If might is what justifies something, then
So if
don't-
might
isn't
makes
it good?
right, then they're obviously
Isn't it
right,
just?
right?
Yeah, but from my perspective, they're not right. From their perspective,
Yeah,
they
hold
might
on,
think
hold on,
No,
they're
no,
hold
no.
right.
Early,
We're-
hold on. Earlier, hold on. I need to point this out.
Yeah, go
Earlier,
ahead.
you said that the U.S. Stopping the Nazi regime or whatever was right because they had the might, but now you're rejecting that framework. So what the fuck do you actually
No.
think?
I'm
Hold on. So
I'm
hold on.
not
But
rejecting the framework at all.
both cases involve someone
You're
overpowering
asking
someone else.
me about what's right or wrong. I think rape is wrong.
Yeah, and you're saying it.
But
What's right comes
that's a
from
different
might.
question.
But
Yeah,
then
but
you're
you
also
said
rejecting
might
it, so you're
makes
engaging in
right.
contradiction.
You
completely
believe
different
might makes
question
right.
You're
from-
So you're
contradicting yourself. Do you understand
no, not
that?
at all.
You've literally contradicted yourself.
Okay. Well then here. Okay.
Not
Here.
at all.
Oh my god.
You need to be very
Fucking idiot.
careful with your words then, because your words are not
I am very
making a
careful with
lot
my
of
words.
sense.
No, you're not.
What?
Well, they don't make sense to people who like lack the capacity.
Doesn't
to
make sense
understand
when you're
them.
being
That's your
incoherent.
problem, not mine.
you're making
Doesn't
you're
make
making
sense
you're
when you
not making
contradict
any
yourself.
sense,
That's not
dude.
how language
No,
works
everything
at
I said
all.
makes perfect sense. Actually,
That's
it
not how
actually
language
it
works,
comports
though.
with reality really well and
That's
philosophy.
Hold on,
That-
hold on.
okay, so
Yeah,
might
okay,
does
everything
make
else.
right. Okay, so might makes right, but if somebody rapes somebody, that's not right.
So
Tell me
might
how
only
make
makes
make
right
that make
sometimes.
sense. Make that make sense, please.
Who decided what's right?
You
Who
apparently
decides
because
what's
you
right?
said it's not right.
Well, who? No, I'm
According to
asking you
the
fundamentally. Who
victors
decided what's right
decide
or
what
wrong?
is
I don't know.
correct, Yeah.
You said it wasn't right. You're the one that made the
I'm
claim. It's
asking
not
you.
right.
I'm asking you.
I don't know. You're the
According
one
to
that
you,
made the
who
claim.
decide what's right or wrong?
You are because you
Who
made the
do
claim.
decide what's right or wrong.
You made the claim that it's
I'm
wrong.
telling you, the person with the ultimate authority over a given boundary is the one that makes the rights.
But are they right?
Yes, because they're the ones making them.
Okay, so if
So they're
somebody has the
deciding what's
might,
right or
so if
wrong.
somebody has the might to rape you, that means they're right.
Well, if they, again, this is the
Yes
point
or no?
you bring
Yeah,
up.
yes or no? Yes
Let's
or
try
no?
this.
Sure.
Let's try
Sure,
this.
sure,
Let's try
fit
this.
Okay, so
Sure,
they're
fit
right.
this. I'll agree
If
with
someone
you.
has
Yeah.
the might to rape you,
Yep,
they're
cool.
right.
Yeah, if somebody who thinks they're right to rape you in their purview, they're right. Yep, I'll agree with you. What's your point?
And your purview, they're right too, because you believe in might makes right.
No, from my personal perspective, no, they're wrong. I don't want to get raped.
Okay, so then you don't believe in might makes right.
Well, I do, because the only way that I could say I don't want to defend
you're-
myself by not getting raped is to
Oh my
have more might,
goodness.
right?
Is morality independent of a person?
No.
No. Okay,
It
so
requires a person, yeah.
so you think that each person can figure out their wrongs or rights? Okay, so in
Well,
a
not
function
whether or not
society-
each person can figure out their rights or wrong. Each person decides what is right or wrong on their own.
Okay, but how do you determine, what is right for people in general? Like, because even like more like subjectivists can, say, this is what I think is right or wrong, and that
Well,
is
I
like their
operate on a
personal
harm
belief.
reduction principle.
But they apply it to everyone around them.
Yeah, I apply on a harm reduction principle.
Okay, but does that not apply to the might makes right to like country
Yeah.
like doing things? Okay, then it's not really might makes right. Then it's only right
course.
if it follows your framework. Then
That's the world. That's how the world works, my friend.
that's not what we're talking about. Again, being able to make your will.
Look,
on
you're
the
asking me
world
whether
is
or not, dude. You're
what is
asking
right
me,
or wrong.
dude. You're asking me whether or not I believe might makes right, and I'm telling you, fundamentally, I have to, because the reality of the world is
That's
that the
not
person
what
with
that
the most
means.
might gets to decide what is
He's
right
not
or
gonna
wrong.
get
That's
it, dude.
not
He's
what
not gonna
I
get
know,
it.
I know.
That's not
I
what.
know.
Yeah, that's not what produces like an actual. That's not what produces like a ontology for things. Like I could kill you.
So
and it
show
wouldn't be either
I know you
one.
just joined up, so I'm gonna give you just a quick explainer of what we're talking about, and then you can give your perspective after I tell you real quick, so you're not
Go ahead,
confused.
go ahead. Yeah.
Incarnation is stating that he believes that might makes right, and what we're trying to explain to him is that if you believe that might makes right, that would mean that if somebody has the might to rape you, right, that would mean that you believe that they're right to do so because, well, that's what might makes right means. But when I asked Incarnation, do you believe that if somebody has the might to rape someone, that they're right? He said, no, they're not right. And then we clearly stated, well, then that means that you don't believe that might makes right. And then he's saying, no, I do believe in might makes right. So what we're saying is he's completely contradicting himself. He doesn't really believe that, right?
Yeah.
They're two different statements.
You believe that might makes happen,
Okay.
not might makes things occur.
So you could jump in now.
Well, I mean, it's objectively true that stronger people can do more things than weaker people, but like that doesn't provide any ontology for the things they do. Like exactly like they said, like in the
Again.
rape case, like my rape isn't justified by the fact that I can do it. I just can do it because I'm strong.
Irrespective, okay, whether your moral prescription of what you think is right or wrong, okay, is fairly irrelevant to the person who's committing the act of rape on you. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, we know that, but
Well,
again,
okay.
our point is like that's not what we're talking about right now.
We're engaging in this conversation. There's
Well,
two people
yeah,
involved. There's two people
Okay.
involved in this, okay? So you're asking me whether or not what I think is right or wrong, but there's two people involved in this, okay? So there's one person who's getting raped, and there's one person who's doing the raping. Now, we can say that the person who's getting raped thinks it's wrong to get raped, but we can also say that the person doing the raping thinks it's right to do the raping.
yeah, that's purely
again,
descriptive. The statement might
and
make
again,
right.
the convo that like we're trying to have right now with anarcho capitalism is that belief of is it right or wrong to rape somebody, not can they, it's is it right or wrong to do so. That's what the convo is.
In NCAP, like in any other society, your virtues are only as valuable as your
And we're
ability
saying
to
that's
defend
not
them.
relevant. That's not what's being discussed.
God, dude.
That
It is
is
not
a
relevant.
valid point. Say that is a valid point, but it doesn't really matter because that applies to every single system, not just so that's not like you can't criticize this system for that, except
Dude,
for like
you're
maybe
assuming that
like, they have,
everybody
like,
abides by your
essential.
system. That this
No,
is the
that
basic
assumption's
flaw.
not being made at all.
Incarnation. But also like the essence, like what gives people rights is like a social matrices like capacity to enforce them. Like rights don't exist metaphysically. Like or
I
at least
agree.
most like modern anarcho-capitalists don't believe rights exist like metaphysically until social matrices imbue individuals or protected individuals with the rights.
Yeah,
Like,
we believe that rights only exist conceptually. There are things that us humans sort of made to sort of settle disputes. And everybody has this ethics, right? We just believe that our ethics is the correct one or the right one. Now, if you're going to say might makes right, like because there's only 3 types of law, right? There's might makes right. There's mixed law, which means sometimes people have the right to initiate force. And then there's the non-aggression principle, which is nobody has the right to initiate force. We believe in the non-aggression principle. And he's saying that he believes in might makes right. And we're just trying to I'm just trying to explain to him that he doesn't actually believe in might makes right. He believes in mixed law.
Even in the NEP, okay, your authority is going to be upended.
I don't disagree.
Right,
Nobody disagrees with you. Listen,
okay.
nobody
so
disagrees with you
Maybe
that if you have the might
So
to
thank
physically
you.
force
You
somebody to do
agree.
what they listen, Incarnation. Nobody in this room disagrees that if somebody has the might to force someone to do what they want, then they have the ability to. Nobody in this room disagrees with you with that. What we're talking about is right and wrong.
Fundamentally, okay, your right and wrong is different to somebody else's right and wrong. So
No,
you
we
have
don't
to
disagree with
try
that
and-
neither.
Right. So the purpose in your NEP or in any other doctrine is to try and like come together and say, hey, we generally agree on these sort of sets of like common courtesies, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Right. And if we act outside of those common courtesies, there's going to be consequences. Those consequences, again, are only as valuable as the ability to act on them.
We don't disagree.
That is only back-ended
that's
by
not where we
your
disagree.
level of
That's
might.
not where we disagree, Incarnation. Where we disagree is that just because you have the might to do something does not mean you have the right to do that thing. That's the difference. That's the disagreement.
It by its very nature does. Because
No,
if
by its
you
very nature, it
have the
doesn't.
might
I'm done.
over somebody,
I'm done, bro. This
you
guy's
can
a fucking
exert
idiot.
your
I don't know what else
rights.
to
I don't think
say.
you're getting
You can go
It's
ahead.
really that simple, dude. Like it's really that simple. Like if you disagree with the law and the judge says, "Sorry, I don't care that you disagree with the law. You have to pay the fine." Who's got the might here? The judge.
yeah, that doesn't make him nobody's disagreeing with that. The whole point they're trying to communicate is that like maybe there's some extant property to that command, like its rightness or wrongness, that exists like stands independently. So like the judge can like think what he's doing is right, and the other guy could think it's wrong. Both those are irrelevant to the equation. It's
No, but the point is that we went to the judge. We went to the judge to solve the conflict. We made him the authority on it. We gave him the might to decide what's right and wrong.
That doesn't mean the judge is infallible.
You gave the judge the might.
Because
yes, by virtue of consent, if you both agree to say, hey, we want this judge to arbitrate this contact, then yes, you are by virtue giving authority to the judge to decide who is right and wrong in this case.
No matter what the judge says, then he's right. Is that your view?
Well, if you both agree that the judgment the judge is going to give is going to be what's right, then yes, he has the.
How does that follow at all?
If consent is the
well, I mean, let's
thing,
assume you go to a private court and both parties agree, right, to go to this private court, and then this private court says like, hey, okay, since you both consent, you both agree to it, the judgment that comes out of this is going to be final. If you want to appeal it, okay, fine, maybe there's another process, but like let's just assume that like in a private court, what the judge says is final, so that would make the judge the arbiter of what's right and wrong.
Yeah, in like a situation where both parties consent. Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
That's not might makes right. What you just described as like people entering like a consensual agreement.
Well, yes, because we're agreeing to the might of the authority of the judge and the consequences behind what is being given to us. Yes.
I don't think them both consenting to the arbitration makes the arbitrator like means that the arbitrator can never be wrong. Is that your argument, really?
The arbitrator in this instant is deciding what's right and wrong.
Do you think the arbitrator, the judge, can rule incorrectly?
You can argue that if there's, we can talk about appeals process.
Yeah, but do you think they
for the
can?
sake of simplicity,
You think they could?
in your model, if we've hired a private court to
Yeah, answer my
adjudicate
fucking
a
question. Do you
judgment,
think they could rule wrongly? You're not answering my fucking question. Jesus Christ, you love to dodge. You've
would
done this
just-
50 trillion times.
it would just
Oh
depend
my
on
god.
what we, it would
I
just depend on
fuck
what we
you. Holy
agree.
shit.
I don't know, dude. It would just depend on what we agree.
Dude, I am so
we-
over
Why the fuck would that
this
matter?
conversation, bro. I can't handle this
Guys, it would
fucking
depend
this
on what we agree
stupidity.
before going into
Get
court.
back on track.
This guy's a
This is
fucking
like
idiot.
on
Depend
track.
what we
This
agree
guy's
for
just a
before going
fucking
into
idiot.
court.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Sorry, you don't have the brain capacity to track this.
You
stuff.
don't have
Oh,
to bring
brother.
hypotheticals, you fucking cuckold. Holy shit, you are a
Dude,
retard.
if we go to a private court, will we not agree to terms before going to court?
I agree with that. That's not where my contention
Okay,
is.
so if
dumb
we
fuck.
agree, that there's no appeal process and that the judge's decision is the final decision, then yeah, the judge would be right and wrong, right?
The
Yeah,
judge could be
so
right
what-
or wrong, yes. I agree,
what
but
you
you're
just
saying the judge could
described-
Well,
would
no, the
always
judge
be right.
is
You-
deciding what's right and wrong.
No, I don't
like-
think that's true either, actually.
So
I
like,
think the
so
judge
like if
is making a ruling.
incarnation, if you and I agree to go to a private court, and like the third party that we decide on is super Adolf Hitler and thinks we both need to be gassed, like since we consented and we're not gonna appeal, this is the final court, this is Supreme Court. Like, is he right, or is us getting gassed?
Do we both decide to go to a court where we
Yeah,
would get
we both
gassed if
decide-
we
no.
failed?
We didn't know we were gonna get gassed, but super Adolf Hitler decided that. Like
Well, I mean,
we relinquished the power.
that's what
Well, hey.
that's what you're presenting.
But-
So I
it wouldn't
mean,
be- it wouldn't
okay.
be
In
wrong
that case,
to
then I
do
would just okay,
Wouldn't be
sure,
wrong
no,
to
fine. We'll just reject what the court says then.
Oh, so the judge
that's not
could
what
be
we
wrong,
agreed to.
actually,
Yeah,
Like,
but the
that's not
judge
what we
wasn't
agreed
right.
to, because
I guess
there's
the judge
nowhere-
wasn't right.
Well, because in what we would have negotiated, nowhere in there would there have ever been gas chambers. So if the court's just going to bring in gas chambers, then I will just reject the verdict.
Like, he decided both of us were so we relinquished all of our authority and power to him, and he decided both of us.
Yeah, like he
were
just
so
presses a button. You ever see those cartoons where they press a button and
did-
there's like a hatch
wait.
under them and they go beep and they
So-
fall through the hole
So
and fall into
when
fire?
we negotiated why we're going to go with this judge, did we have the option for gas chambers in there to begin with? Because if the answer to that is no, then
everything
we
was
don't
everything was
listen
on the
to judge.
table.
I mean,
Everything was
anything's on the table.
Oh, so you consented to it, I guess. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Well, no, we consented to the judge's arbitration. Yeah, that's what you described.
You ever seen Star Wars with
Right.
Jabba the Hutt pressed the button, then Luke fell into that hole with the monster?
That's what he
So-
was
so you-
So he's
So-
like, that's the
right, so-
judgment. He presses the button, and the guy falls through the hole, and then the monster's there.
Or let's say
but they consented.
incarnation, I accuse you of rape, and then we consent, and then we both consent to go to a very wise third party judge, okay? But the third party judge is having a bad day. He's been arguing with his wife. He gets to the courtroom and he's like, you know what? Fuck incarnation. We're killing him right now. And then he pulls out the firing squad and shoots you. Shoots you 90 times.
Mhm.
Was the judge right or wrong? You didn't commit rape, by the way, in this situation.
Well, again, was killing me part of the verdict? Because if it wasn't, then yeah, the judge is
It was
wrong.
on the it was on the table. We're in a death penalty state for rape. So
No, then I just wouldn't have agreed to go to that court. I just would have rejected that court. And not
Well,
gone.
That's
how are you
irrelevant.
gonna know the outcome after?
let's
Yeah.
say every judge in the country is in
Well,
conspiracy.
because I'm not going to go to a court. I'm not going to go to a private court that's going to tell me I might die.
Not
I'll
what
just
they-
reject
How
That's
are
what
you gonna
Joe
know
asked you
that?
about-
How are you
about,
gonna
by
know
the way.
that before you hire them?
Because if I don't know before, I'm not going to hire them.
Yeah,
You know that
yeah.
Showa asked you whether it was right or wrong, right? Like he asked you whether the judge was right or wrong. He didn't ask
Yeah,
you about
wait.
what you're talking about.
But
I'm
you're
asking the
actually
hypothetical. I'm
debating-
playing with. I'm
You're actually
playing with the
not debating
hypothetical
on-
here, right?
Well, don't
Yeah,
play with it.
I'm
like
playing with the
that, right?
hypothetical here, right? Like, did we? Yeah, well, of course, yeah, sure.
Play with it.
Yeah, so it
That's
would be
cool.
it would be right for the judge to kill you for something you didn't do in that situation. Like obviously
Into the
'cause I
pit.
didn't- No, because I didn't agree to the terms previous. So no.
But let's say hypothetically you did. Would it be right or wrong?
Oh, if we both hypothetically agree that we might die out of this verdict, and yeah, then we have no choice but to agree with what the judge says.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think the question is gonna be more of how do you get everyone in like your borders kind of to agree on like this system. If you cannot
No. Well,
make if you cannot enforce these laws on the people that do not agree to go to court for them, that do not agree to like your laws, how do you make them follow them?
Is that a question for the
That's a
ANCAPs,
big
or is that a
job.
question for her?
That's meant for
Yeah.
for the ANCAPs, because I think he does bring up a good point in that regard.
Well, generally, if you have a private insurance agency, they would have some sort of a pre-assigned agreement that you assign before you join them. That you would go to some sort of pre-agreed to court between multiple different private insurance agencies if there's a dispute.
What if I don't have insurance though?
Oh well,
That's-
there's claim
that's kinda my
subrogation.
point.
There's claim subrogation, which is the idea that anytime someone violates your rights in any way, they basically owe you some sort of restitution for the crime that was committed against you.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm saying if again.
So what
that-
you could
again,
do? Wait, hold
that
on, I wasn't
says that
finished.
I operate in that system. I'm saying if I don't operate
I know, I was
in
almost
any
done.
system. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I was almost done. So what I was gonna say is that basically because they owe you money, you can go to some sort of like firm, and you could be like, hey, these people owe me restitution, and here's the evidence, and they'll be like, all right, no problem, we'll take it on, and you just give us a portion of the restitution after we prove it, and then once you've done that, you don't even need money for that. Like for instance, injury law firms, right? If you get into a car accident or an accident in your job, they won't make you pay up front. They'll just take a portion of the restitution afterwards.
Yeah, and again, my point was if someone does not consent to following your laws under your framework, you cannot make them. What you just listed would mean that I need to follow like this insurance thing. If I do not do that, you still cannot force things onto me.
Now, yeah,
Because
if
I'm
you've
not in your
aggressed on
system.
someone, if you've aggressed upon another innocent person, then that court and that person would have the right to collect restitution from you
I
because
don't
you violated that
consent
person, right?
Yeah, it doesn't
okay,
matter
I
what
don't
you consent
Yeah, it
to.
doesn't matter.
Okay, then that's
I
not
didn't consent to the aggression.
anarch cap then. At least that's
No,
not
it
how
is.
it's
It's
defined by
completely-
like the internet.
No, it is.
Maybe that's what maybe that's what you believe, but that's not what it's like defined as then.
Do you know who Murray
How is it
Rothbard
defined?
is? Wait, do you know who Murray Rothbard is?
Oh, dude, I was about to bring that up.
No.
So-
yes, does he have like literally like talks
No, he was the one
about
that He was the one that kind of created anarcho-capitalism,
Okay.
and he was the one that formulated the whole. Well,
So
I would
okay,
say he
yeah.
was kind of the one that kind of created it, and that's that's where we get to base our ideology
Okay.
from. So yeah, like we're
So
not
how
pulling
is
this out of
that
our
not a
ass.
form, okay, that's no, I know. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
So how is that not a form of government then? Because then you are forcing me to
It's
like, be a
voluntary
part of a
governance.
system. No, because you said that if I infringe on someone's nap, that I now have to be part of like the system.
Well,
I
you're
agree
not an
with the
innocent
system.
person anymore once you violate
I
another
know.
person's
I'm
rights.
saying, who are you to say that? That's my point.
Well, because it violated the
Rights are
non-aggression
not
principle.
real. Those are okay, but those aren't real. Those aren't real though.
What do you mean
What's
those
that?
aren't?
It's a-
What
it's
do
a
you mean
framework-
those
it's a
aren't real?
framework
It's human
produced.
construct.
It's a framework produced people produced and agreed upon.
Yeah,
Like you like
I'm saying I didn't agree though. That again, that's
Don't
that's-
matter.
That's my
that doesn't-
point.
I didn't agree
Are
to
you
the
right?
state,
Non-aggression-
but if I smoke weed
That's
and they
government
pull me
then.
over, they're gonna throw me in prison.
That's okay, but again, that's my point. Is that and like means that you have no state. What you are describing is like libertarian. You spend like libertarian.
It's a private rights
Yeah, this is
enforcement. It's private rights
libertarianism,
enforcement.
You know that, right?
No, those are two separate. Oh, brother, no. Anarchism is like there is
You know,
no
ANCAP
state.
is
There is
libertarian,
only
in fact.
private.
True libertarians are
Yeah.
anarchist.
No. You can
Yes.
have some state. No. Okay, true libertarians is
Wow,
that you can
typical
have
shoot
no
first, think later.
federal government.
Which
There-
realm?
There is no
No.
massive
What are we arguing
central.
over here?
It's all within your
It's like that
community.
Family Guy when the
But that's,
donkey
you know,
says
more
Kevin Bacon
central
wasn't
power
in
with,
Footloose.
Like your borders as like a town kind of. Anarchism is that there is no government. It is all just private.
Yeah, our system involves only private
Well, yeah, that's what
ownership,
we
I
were
believe.
talking about.
No, because you're saying that I have to follow it.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you
that's not-
violated-
So like
No, me following your laws goes against my private rights.
So like again, like let's say hypothetically you don't buy into like a moral system right now, right? The government isn't the only matrices in existence that can enforce stuff on people who don't agree to it. So like a matrices could be produced by libertarians, in this case like a private rights enforcement agency that could enforce the rights of individuals that are like bound by the ethics that it's talking about, while like not everybody has to agree to it. So let's say I
Yeah.
rape KingSithis, right? Like I don't have to agree
Oh,
to the
no.
NAP for someone to come arrest me.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Or
how do
not,
you guys?
I guess it wouldn't be an arrest, but like come
It
demand
could, well, it
restitution
could be
from
an
me.
arrest. Depends.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah.
could
But how
there would be
you enforce
consequences.
that? Because if it's an arrest, what separates you from being a government? What is
It's
there?
that
It's not an aggression.
Yeah, but also like a state, and a state is a very specific thing with a very specific definition. Didn't produce like the matrices. So
How so?
It's
What-
a very,
okay,
Well,
it's
to
a
go
very
very
broad
basic
definition.
to the very
Very
basic
broad
level.
definition. Central authority over a given boundary. Like it can't be simpler than that.
Yeah, that would make
That's-
any
again,
private
that's-
property owner a state, essentially.
that's not what a state is.
It can,
Yeah,
yes,
that's-
it
definitely not what a
can.
state
That's
is.
way
It
too
can, man,
broad.
yes, it
No, that's
can.
way
Okay,
too broad.
wait,
So-
again, I just want to like the
No,
answer
yeah. I
my
want to give you the
question.
basics here. All right. So we believe in the non-aggression principle, which is nobody has the right to initiate force. And an example of initiating force would be like I kick you or punch you or something, or you take my wallet or something like that, right? You're initiating force against my person or property. And an aggression, that's what an aggression is. That's initiation of force. So we're against that. Now, if you've initiated force against another person, retaliating against that person is not an aggression. We think that's perfectly legitimate for a person to retaliate against another person who has initiated force against another person. So if you hire another person to protect you or collect restitution from a person who has violated your rights, well, that's not a state. That's just a private insurance firm.
Okay, so I can give you that. Yes, you have the choice to pay taxes towards someone to like uphold like your laws and like your system. But I'm saying if you operate outside that system, right? Like let's say like you steal, like you like rob, like again you do whatever goes against like you nap, right?
Mhm.
And then like that party hires someone. What makes them correct in that I have to follow them? What makes them right in terms of the fact that I have to like give away my
Well, the consequences of not
Assets.
doing so.
Mhm.
The consequences of like any system.
That's government then. That's just government. I'm sorry. That's just government.
Yeah, but it's
I
not a
have no
it's not a
choice in the
state.
matter.
But it's not a state.
How not?
Yeah,
Because if you're-
government and a state are different. Are again different concepts.
Okay,
Mhm.
what is
Like,
a
I can govern
okay,
something.
what is a social contract to you?
I don't believe in
Find
a
me
social
a state
contract.
Okay.
like
Okay.
block?
How is what you just said not a
I never
social
signed a contract.
You're saying I need to pay somebody to uphold the law.
Yeah, you're
You
agreeing
make
to
a
that.
contract with government. Okay, that's you're not calling it. You make a contract with your insurance company to uphold the law. Your NAP.
Yeah, it's not some vague notion of a social contract. That's different.
Yeah, that's not.
I don't know how that's not a social contract.
What do you think a
You
social
agree
contract is?
to not overthrow.
That's just a normal
say, you can-
contract. A social contract
It's a real
is like
contract.
yeah, that's just a normal contract. A social contract is the idea that
okay, but again,
everybody,
my point is that you put like taxes towards it, right? It's just something, again. My issue is that this sounds like.
but it's not a
government
tax.
with
It's just a
extra
fee.
steps. Yeah, a fee that you
Yeah,
pay
tax
to
is not
have
voluntary.
to have
Yeah, but
law.
taxes aren't voluntary. That's the difference.
Yeah, but we want everyone to
You
have
got it right
law.
there.
No?
It's a you
Hey, your mic's cutting out.
Yeah, your mic is cutting out.
But again, my point is that a rational actor wants to have some semblance of laws, even if that be a nap. I have to pay money to have my nap. Right?
The difference is
I'm paying.
here's the difference,
I
bro.
mean,
When you go to the store and you pay for somebody to clean your car, are they taxing you?
but I don't need to have my car clean. Okay, so.
No, it's a
okay, yeah, you're right.
hypothetical. It's a hypothetical.
So then, yeah, I'm saying I don't know how like that's relevant.
No, just hear me out.
Anyway.
Just answer the question. Is that a
It's a
tax?
consensual transaction.
No, it's not a tax, but that's not.
Okay, so
what
if
you're
you're
talking
paying
about.
somebody, if it says, hold on, hear me out,
so
hear me out.
wait,
Wait, almost done, almost done,
almost
almost done. So if you pay somebody to protect you, which is a service, that's not a tax, right? That's just a fee.
I understand that. I'm saying that you are practicing some sophistry right now. I'm saying that, like, yes, these words
Oh, is that
are
sophistry?
different kind. Okay,
Sophistry?
Yeah, that's not
Yeah, can you spot the fallacy?
proper term. That's not the proper term. My point is that you are changing the words when in reality, I think that your system is the same.
Well, here's the difference.
I'm saying that your insurance company is a private cop force, maybe. But not really, because again, my issue is that I think that most rational people within a society are going to pay to have cops, to have, a court system, to pay to have whatever.
Well, here's the
How is that
difference.
different from having taxes?
Here's the difference. If I don't pay my,
I choose to have laws.
here's the difference. If I don't pay my private insurance, they'll refuse service to me. That's the worst. The worst they'll do is refuse service to me, right? With the state,
No, they might.
If I refuse-
they might sue you for back. No, they might sue you for monies owed. and
oh my
might
god,
tell you that
Sue you
incarnation,
for
can you
not
shut
buying
the
the
fuck
drug.
up for
Again,
5 fucking seconds, please?
My issue is this: is that what
Let me
you
finish.
are
Let me finish.
describing-
Let me
Fine.
finish. Let me finish. So, if you're on private insurance and you just choose to stop paying your private insurance, the worst they could do is just stop paying, stop giving you the service. Whereas with the state, if you don't pay the state, they will send men with guns, armed men with guns to your house to kidnap you, and if you resist, they'll fucking kill you.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
What do you do for all the
again,
what do you do for all the people who can't pay?
your like point is that yes, you have the right to choose whether or not you have law, and the difference is that in our current system, if you don't pay taxes, you go to jail. Within your system, if you don't pay taxes, you don't have laws for you.
They're
You
not
are not
taxes.
protected by the insurance.
It's not
Again,
taxes.
It's a word. Again, I'm using the word to show how your system is not that different. It's the same.
Yeah, but you're
system.
using. Hold
The
on,
only
you're
thing-
using
no,
the wrong
no. Let me
term
finish.
then.
There is a difference.
Let me finish. No, it's not. No, it's not. Again, the only
Yeah, I'm
difference-
using the wrong
the
term
only-
to
the
describe
only-
your system.
no,
By the way, that's what you
the
said.
only difference. It's not wrong because
Funny.
again, let me explain.
You just demonstrated
The
it's
only
incorrect.
difference
Silly.
is that in your system, if I don't pay my taxes, I don't have law. That's it. If that's your whole basis, is that if you don't pay taxes, you can just get robbed, raped, murdered.
Yeah, but you
whatever.
could still use claim
That's a lame
subrogation.
fucking system.
If somebody
Hold
arrests
on, you know the
you,
current system. Hold on.
Yeah,
wait,
I
wait,
know,
wait. The
yeah,
current
I know.
system is if
What do
you don't pay
do with all the
taxes, then we don't give a fuck
people
about
that
you. We
can't-
throw you in prison.
Can't pay that can't work,
You
can't
still
do
have
all these
some.
things.
You still have some rights in jail. You're right. You have less rights than as a free
Yeah,
man.
I don't-
But you still
I don't have any
some
rights if I'm dead when the
humane
police shoot me in
decency.
my
No.
head when I don't pay the taxes.
What
right?
happens if I have sex
you're
with a
not
prostitute?
shot in the head,
wait,
though.
Yes, you will.
Wait.
That's a hype.
Cameron,
No, you're
they
not.
only
Wait,
do
wait,
that.
wait.
No,
Whoa.
guys, stop.
Hypothetical maxing much. You're not gonna get shot in the head for not paying your taxes.
Yeah, what happens if
Yes,
I?
you will.
Hold on, police will show up to my house eventually.
Wait, guys, dude, Cameron, you only get charged taxes if you're a willing participant in the system. If you don't engage in commerce,
not
I don't
willing.
you don't
consent to
pay
get fucking
taxes.
robbed,
If you
right?
I
don't
don't
own
consent.
property, you don't pay taxes. So all you have to do to not pay taxes in the system is just simply not be a participant in the system. But if you engage
Yeah,
in
how come I have
commerce
to
in the
pay-
system, you
how
are
come I have to pay the
consenting and you're
government-
paying taxes.
No, I'm not consenting. No,
We
I'm
don't
not
consent.
consenting.
Yes, you are.
How am I consenting?
Then don't get a
How
job.
does that stop?
Then
How,
don't
do,
get a job.
how does
Get paid cash.
how does owning
off
property
the
in a
land.
country establish that I'm consenting to have money taken from me by the state? How the
You're
fuck
not
are you
borders.
establishing that?
You are in
Because you
our
accepted the
Whose
fees.
borders?
You
Whose
accept
borders?
because when you bought
America's.
the house, wait,
What's
stop. Because
America?
when you bought the house, stop.
nation.
Because when you bought the house, you bought in to a homeowners club, okay, called the United States, and the
fucking
United States is a
homeowners club. It's not
homeowners club
voluntary.
of private property owners who all pay a fee. right? That fee
What is this
guarantees that
people
people
of the
are going to
state
abide
bullshit?
by a certain.
Did they get it through consensual transaction?
Fee that people are going to abide by a certain.
Did they get it through consensual
standards.
transaction?
Yes, by engaging in commerce.
Oh, okay. So the government didn't force anybody to pay into the system. They bought everything through consensual transaction and homesteaded all their property.
It's within their borders, though.
Oh, that they got. How did they get it? How did they get those borders?
You can add that all you want.
Ancestors used labor to transform the land.
Oh, so they stole it.
No.
Yeah, they stole it.
So
no. Okay.
people
Well,
in the
yeah.
government.
Wait. Based on that, yes, every single piece of land stolen. Yeah, sure.
Not if I bought it. Not if I homesteaded it.
No, because every single piece of land stolen then.
Yeah, if you fucking conquer it and murder people for it, then yes.
We didn't. Well, I mean,
Like
we
the fucking
did kind
government.
of, but like not.
We didn't.
Oh no, the government didn't steal or conquer anyone.
Yeah, if you homestead land and you murder the top predators that were like the actual like owners of that piece of land, yeah, like I mean, you're stealing it. I mean, you don't know who owned the land before.
Okay, so
anyways. You have no way of
so
ever
if I
proving
snatch
who was
your
the owner
phone
of the
from
land.
your
So
hand,
homesteading is by its very nature stealing.
What? Homesteading is not stealing. How is homesteading stealing?
Of course it is.
How?
You have absolutely no way of knowing who was the original owner of the property.
No, it only matters if someone currently owns it.
Yeah. If somebody doesn't own something, right, and you use it,
you
haven't violated anyone's rights.
You have no idea.
Wait, Incarnation.
If
that's irrelevant. Incarnation. If I'm on an island by myself and I cut a stick down from a spear and I turn it into a spear, right? Whose rights have I violated?
The person who owns the island.
Nobody owns the island.
How do you know?
The hypothetical is that nobody owns the island.
I'm sorry. Do you guys like not follow?
Well, then it's
John
irrelevant.
Locke? I'm
Hello, you're not listening to the hypothetical?
No, these guys don't. These guys.
I
don't.
do. You're the one that doesn't follow John Locke, bro. What the fuck?
No, I know we don't. That's not the point. I'm asking, do you guys?
What about John Locke?
What about him?
What is your because your basis is that
we believe in the Rothbardian homesteading.
How are we going to get away from the inherent problem that both systems are ran by humans that are going to screw up? Like, how are you going to get past that, no matter which system that you choose?
Well, people always screw up. That you can't get out of that.
Was that what we were talking about?
Okay, so we'll use the Rothbard version, right? Active mixing one's labor with unowned resources. Okay, how do you describe who owns a resource then?
When you just said it.
What? You're laughing. Okay,
you
so
just
like
said
mixing
it.
one's labor with it. Okay, so me mixing my labor with nature, is there like a border then with like what land I've mixed
Okay,
with my
so
labor with?
I'll give you an example.
What do you mean?
I'll give you an example. So let's say you cut a stick from a spear and you put a rock on the tip and turn it into a spear, right? I might have said that wrong, but you know what I mean.
Cut a stick from a tree.
A tree and then turn it into a spear. Guys, it's late for me, okay? That would be an example of homesteading.
Okay, so it doesn't matter who owns the tree?
It does. If nobody owns it, the condition is that it has to be unowned.
And the tree is owned under what circumstance? Like
the condition is that it needs to be. Listen, you need to listen. The condition is that you're.
You talk about fucking spear. I'm asking about the tree.
Yeah, the condition for it to be yours, right, is that it needs to be unowned. If it is unowned, if you've used it before anyone else, and you've transformed it into a spear, then you have not violated anyone's rights by doing that.
Okay, so you have no property rights in the U.S. or Europe or Africa or well, actually, yes.
Well, no, I've never been to Africa, so no, I would not have a property right in Africa.
Doesn't matter. Its resources are owned.
I said I.
I'm just curious though.
I said
I
don't have a.
Like,
I don't have
one. How do you know it's unowned? I have to know this. How do you know it's unowned?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
How do you know it's unowned?
Back it up.
How do you know if it's unowned?
How do you know it's unowned?
You have no.
Nobody's done with anything with it.
Where?
Well, for how long? So what's the time period? What's the time period for how long?
It depends on the situation.
So it's not.
So let me get this right. So in your purview, right? If somebody has a piece of private property that they own and they don't use it, they will lose it.
It depends on if they abandon it.
What does that mean?
What is that? What is that
Abandoning,
matter?
like if I
Ownership.
like for an example of me abandoning something would be like I throw something in the trash.
How do you abandon land?
You can relinquish. You could sell it.
Okay.
Or you
So
can.
what's the time? So
You could die, or you could say, "Hey, I don't." Or you could say,
sell
"I."
it.
Or you
Wait
could
a
say,
minute, so then the US
"Wait, do you
is
not want to hear
selling
the?
land.
Do you not want to hear They
wait,
never
wait.
bought it, and they're never the owners in the first
Yes,
place.
it did. They bought it from the French.
Okay, wait,
who
stop.
did own
The
it.
French
Okay,
get
stop.
it.
How did the French
American
buy it?
war.
How did the French own it?
Okay,
The
guys,
natives
dude,
gave
this is
it to
just
them.
this is again, this is just a reductionist argument, right? So I'm gonna go back to how he said. How do you know that the land you're homesteading isn't owned by somebody? And if you're gonna say that, oh, if I'm on somebody's property for long enough, I own it, then you're saying that at the end of the day, like I don't own my
No,
own private
never said.
property.
The possessor,
I would
the
never say
possessor would be assumed to be the owner unless you have evidence that they stole it.
So how would you have evidence that they stole it?
That's up to the accuser.
Well, it depends.
Right. So
So
how
that's
would you
also-
be able to homestead then?
If the land is unowned and nobody comes up to you and
How
gives
do you
up
know
any
it's
evidence.
unowned?
Hello, do you want to hear the answer? So if the land is unowned and nobody comes up to you afterwards and says, "Hey, this is my evidence proving that you stole this land that owns to me," right? Then
So if you own
yeah.
if you own 10,000 acres of land and I go and set up like a little community on like half an acre of land because you never once came to like say it's not mine, it now belongs to me.
That's the inverse
No.
of what he's saying.
Yeah, that's the
Furthermore,
inverse of what
how
I'm
do
saying.
you
I'm
show
saying that if you're
evidence-
the owner of 10
That's
acres of
exactly what he's
land
saying.
and somebody sets up shop on your land, you would have the right to kick them off. That's what I'm saying, because you have the
and
deed.
how would you show evidence that you
Some sort of deed.
own said land?
Literally,
yeah,
there's
how
like
would
a
you know they own the
deed
land,
or a
KingSithis?
receipt.
Deed
Wow,
does
it's
not
kind of
own
weird.
the land.
It's kind of weird. I
dependent,
have
right?
to explain to you how housing works, guys. But okay. So generally,
do
when you
because
buy,
your framework doesn't
generally,
believe in that.
whoa, oh, you guys want? Do you guys not want to hear the argument or?
Go ahead.
Okay, so generally, when you buy a house, right? They have like some sort of deed, right? Or there's some sort of system around the buying and selling of houses that sort of creates a way to sort of prove whether or not you're the owner of a house. So, for instance, if you're the owner of a house in, say, like New York City, and somebody takes your house, generally before buying it, they would give you some way to prove it if somebody were to take it, and you could take them to court for it. It's not very hard to figure that out. I mean, we do this
So
all the
who's gonna-
time in the real world.
No,
Who's
I
going to
understand
decide
that.
all
I'm
this?
saying
Who's
that-
going to decide all this in your deal here? Who's going to decide all this? A private company that's been
What do you mean,
hired?
who's
is gonna
deciding?
Private
decide
Who's deciding
insurance,
what?
you know.
an insurance company that's paid for and ran by people who you're pissed off about because you say the government's bad and it's ran by people. It's just the same.
Well, because
thing. It's the same
taxation is
over and over.
theft.
It's just a circular argument.
The government's not bad because it's ran by people.
The government's bad is because they steal from people. That's why.
No,
Yeah.
the government's bad because it's made of people, and people steal from people.
Well,
That's not-
No,
they're
and
bad.
What?
Well, I don't
making an argument
disagree.
that
They're
taxes
bad
theft.
because they're made of people,
man,
but
you
I
have to be
I
careful.
also agree
He
that they're
thinks-
bad because they steal.
So like also an institution could be bad.
He's
without
describing tax
every
as
composite,
stealing. That's what he's describing.
without
right
every
now.
composite part of it being also bad. So like the government can be like a bad institution as a whole, but like individually, like the people involved in it don't have to be like bad. I don't know what is that. What is like the?
Well, I mean,
yeah.
your average DMV
government
worker
is
is
the
not
people.
a fucking bad person, but like there are the people who are in charge of the state are definitely bad people.
You realize that the government, okay, the government is the people, right?
God, you are
Oh
such
my
a
God.
God
That's-
incarnation.
that's
You
such
are
a
the
fucking
biggest fucking bootlicker I've ever seen in my fucking
Fuck
life.
you.
I swear to
That is-
fucking
that is-
God.
Right. He's actually
Fucking
kind
How
of
is
Look
it
at
not
bitch.
made of
Fuck
people?
you.
How?
That is
Please,
an instant.
please explain
because
it
it's
to
an
me.
instant-
How it is not made of people making decisions. Please
Okay,
explain.
I
to
mean,
me.
native.
Nobody
It's
said
just
it's not
because
made
I'm
of people
stupid.
making decisions.
it's comprised of people. It's just like it's also an institution. So every composite part isn't morally accountable for everything the institution does as a whole.
The issue is
Who
how
does
it's
it represent?
ran. The issue is how it functions.
Private
Who does it-
institution you make up going to be the same thing?
No, it depends on the
Who does it-
incentives
Who does the government represent?
Because it's not, well, it's also
Who
not
does the
going to
government-
itself.
And so this private company is going to go and it's going to represent money instead of the people. Is that your plan?
fuck
Who
does it
gives
mean to
them
represent
money?
money?
The people give them
it's
money.
It's going to represent the individual who hired it to represent them, like a private company works now.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
people,
so what about the bipolar person who can't hire anybody? What about them? Did they just get stolen from, raped?
Let's
killed?
claim subrogation.
Subrogation.
Yeah, they're also like pretty much any like individual problem you can come up with like has some practical solution. Not to be like a true believer or anything, but like yeah. What about mentally ill people?
Here's
Like
the thing.
well, you're just
Here's the
describing,
thing,
dude. You're just
there is
describing
no-
a reality. You're just
there is
describing
no-
utopia
there's
at
no
this point.
perfect system.
No, we're not.
Utopia.
Yeah,
Dude,
you can
literally,
just
you're just
Says the
describing
guy who
a
says he
state.
believes in might makes right. Okay, got you.
Oh my god.
you're describing a state, dude.
So do you.
It's
That's-
not a
That's
state.
my point.
No.
Yes,
It's
it is.
not
No,
a
we've already demonstrated
state.
that's not true.
It's not a
It's already been
state.
At
demonstrated
the
it's
end
not
of the
true.
day, yes, it is.
That's like
I would
saying
say
McDonald's.
exact
So is
same
McDonald's a
state,
state now because they have?
No, because I don't need food from McDonald's. But the difference is that I don't derive my laws and my property rights from fucking McDonald's. Okay.
Yeah, nor do we do that. With
So when
anything
you go
else.
to
McDonald's is
a
not
mall,
law
so when you
enforcement.
go to a mall that has private security in it, are is that now a government
State.
because they're using their resources to protect you?
Yeah, kinda.
Oh,
my
okay.
God.
So malls
Yeah,
are government.
well, then
Got
Not
you.
a, it's not a
Your
not a
definition of
quality.
it just
Wow.
includes like everything.
Private security.
So
The
pretty
private
much,
security
you guys
company
don't have
is
a good
the private
understanding of what
wait,
governments are.
Guy. This is so
If I
easy.
hired a
This is so
bodyguard-
easy. Wait. This is
You're
so
just
easy.
abstracting.
This
That's
is so
literally
easy.
all it is.
This
Your
is
system
so
is
e-
not
this is
just your
so
Yeah,
basic
we're
little
just a bunch of
concept.
theory
Yeah.
bros. Us and our
Yeah.
theories.
It is.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
it
you
is.
Us and
are.
our
Yeah,
theories.
our theory
Yeah,
is
you
correct.
are.
Hey, our theory is
Yes,
correct,
you
by the
are.
way.
100%.
We're a bunch of
Yeah, your
theories.
theories
Here's the funny
incoherent.
part.
It's weak government.
Here's the
yes.
funny part. Guy, here's the
You have
funny
no
part.
rights.
Okay. Here's
All right,
here's
let
the funny
incarnation
part,
go.
okay?
Let incarnation go.
Here's the funny part. Okay. All you're describing in the NEP is the American Constitution. Okay,
False.
it's really all you're describing.
False.
And
Mhm.
yes, you are, because the American Constitution is
Not really.
where
The Constitution supports the IP.
Stop.
True.
The Constitution sets the laws for the country that then the judges must then adjudicate based off of.
The
Okay?
NAP is
So
our
you're
constitution.
presenting the NEP. So exactly. So you're presenting the NEP as if, hey, if you're going to abide in our society, then you need to abide by the NEP, and these judges are going to make sure that you abide by the NEP. You are literally presenting the exact same structure of authority as a state. You are
No.
everything
No.
that you are describing is
No.
exactly the same.
Correct.
No,
Incorrect.
incorrect.
So yeah, I don't know how we've missed this, but like so like if I like died tomorrow, the police would just continue existing regardless of like my participation in it. But if I started a private firm that was like private security for people, then that private firm would be contingent on my first of all volunteering to start it and participate in it, the voluntary employment of my of the people I'm hiring, and also the people hiring me. All of those things are like dissimilar from the way a state is organized, where regardless of if I want to pay for the police or whatever.
Dude, if
want
you
to pay
had a
for
private security, dude, if you had
I
a
have
private
to.
security company, you would still have to follow the NEP. And by virtue of you following the NEP, you are creating a state.
No, because an ethical principle is not the same as a state. It can be wrong to kill people, and we can all agree it's wrong to kill people and not form a state. What?
Yeah.
What?
You could all agree to anything. It doesn't mean that you have to. Everybody's going to follow
Yeah.
it.
An AP equals state.
But we could all agree to anything, and it wouldn't mean that we were forming a state when we agreed to it.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
just
it
not
would
what-
be, because
that's
the
not what
second
it
you
is.
yes,
Yeah,
because the
it's called a
second
social
you
So wait, if
authorize,
we make
the
a
second you
principle,
provide authority, the second you provide consequences to breaking those rules and authority to people who can enact those consequences, you are creating a state. Yes.
No.
oh,
fair
wait a
definition.
minute. Again, so like this is what I was saying earlier, that like your definition of a state kind of is so vague that I feel like it loses its real
No.
meaning. And for instance, if I'm a
perfect.
private, just hear me out. If I'm a private property owner
Funny.
and there's a guy about to rob me or take my stuff and about to cause harm to me and my family, and I pull a gun out and I say, "Get the fuck out of here," and he runs off, you're basically saying that guy is a state.
What?
Well, that's. I mean, because he's an authority, and on his property, is he not?
He's the central authority of his property, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that fit your definition, dumb fuck?
Well, is he operating within the legal confines of the Constitution?
Let's say he is. Let's say he is.
No, but
Well, then,
it doesn't matter.
yeah, it does matter. It does matter, actually.
Does it
matters
matter?
a lot.
In what sense does it matter?
Because
Okay,
the
let's say he
Constitution
is
the one that sets the rules he can
Okay, so
play
let's say
with.
he
If
isn't.
the Constitution
Then
says
let's
he's
say he
allowed
isn't.
to do it, then
Then let's
What's
say
the
he
compass-
isn't. Then let's say he isn't. Now what?
so then it's irrelevant.
So then he is a state?
No, it's just irrelevant.
What do you mean it's
Oh, sorry.
irrelevant?
What's irrelevant?
We're asking for a description
Just
of
an
the
indiv-
thing.
it's
You
just-
describe the thing as irrelevant.
It's just an,
unless you-
again, I've described to you a state many times. It's a centralized authority over a given boundary.
Yeah,
That's a
so
state.
if
Okay,
I
so-
kick somebody
so
off
if-
my property, am I now a state because I'm a centralized what you just said?
Is your property acting within the confines
No.
of the NEP?
No.
No,
No?
it's just
Then yeah.
like it's just an action that happens.
Sure.
Okay.
Then yeah,
Then-
you've got yourself a little.
So
you've
every
got yourself a little
landowner
state.
So every landowner is a state.
So that yeah,
It can be, sure.
So McDonald's is a state.
You just actually described exactly what he's
Yeah.
advocating, like where
Yeah.
where everybody has sovereignty over their private property. That's literally what he's advocating.
Sure.
You just delete the
Yeah,
Constitution.
sovereignty is only sovereignty
Welcome
is
to the
only
ANCAP
the ability
Club.
to defend it.
Welcome to the Ant Clap
No,
Club,
because
Incarnation.
you guys don't believe in any government. That's
Yeah,
the
it's just your definition of a state is what we would call like a private property owner who has sovereignty over his.
Exactly.
over his
That's why I'm
property.
saying his definition of a state
I've
is so
never-
vague. It doesn't really mean anything.
Except no.
It-
because
it imply-
we want
it
a
could mean
national
any-
state.
It could
We
mean
want a
McDonald's.
federal
It could
state.
mean a mall. It could mean Wendy's down the
KingSithis.
street.
KingSithis. If five property owners come together, okay, and they decide on rules over their five properties, say, hey guys, we're gonna act within these rules
I
over
know
their
the whole
five
spiel.
properties, okay? Those five property owners have now centralized their authority and created a state. Like, how do you think the
Yeah.
first feudal empires, the kingdoms? What do you think kingdoms were? Like this is
Yeah, but
kingdoms
even
were
under
private
your
property,
definition,
owned by lords, owned by
Incarnation, but you're
kings,
not. You
owned
need
by,
to
like,
understand. Here's what you need to understand, Incarnation. Even under your
Okay.
definition, if it was just one guy, not multiple guys, if it's just one guy with a gun on his property, you're basically saying that guy's a state because he's an authority over this over this shack.
If he doesn't accept any other authority, then yeah, but he's created his own little state.
Yeah. So your definition of a state is
What?
is a guy in a shack with a gun who has like an area.
Yeah,
Very
right.
obvious.
Oh
Very
yeah,
simple.
yeah, that's fine.
State.
It's based. What? Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That doesn't
no,
make
so-
any
so-
sense. That's not what it is.
That's just like the most
Oh
vaguest
my
way of
God.
calling a state
Nonsense.
ever.
I would be fine
Again,
with
your
like
whole
a,
belief system is semantics. So yeah, sure. Of course, we're gonna play the.
Yeah, because your
word game
fucking
with
semantics
you.
make
It
no
doesn't
sense. You're
make
defining a
sense.
state.
Neither do
in a
yours.
silly
Again,
manner.
you are talking about a system that currently exists. Yes, it does.
What?
Hot take.
What system?
We
what
have
system?
that system.
So you
We have
agree the
ANCAP?
guy
The
with the gun on a
only
shack is a
difference
state?
That we have, yeah. The only difference is that we
Okay.
have a megacorp, i.e., the federal government. Besides that, it's the same system.
yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
We all pay into it.
I'll use
And you're
your
fucking
like,
robbed.
language- use your
You don't
language
have
like,
to
explain
leave.
it.
And stop.
So
Yeah,
the-
so
the-
stop being.
Hold
so
on,
stop
let-
being
let's shower- let's
conscientious,
shower-
stop
let's
being-
shower go,
stop being
okay? Hold on, let shower go.
participant.
Incarnation,
Specifics
guys,
of the
guys,
United
let
States.
shower go. Go ahead,
the
shower.
specifics of the United States, they're not like any other company or like organization that exists because like where do they derive their power, right? Not from the voluntary participation of every citizen in the United States. Like, so like a company, right? Like if the company, I don't want to buy its shit, I don't have to, right? It doesn't matter what I do. Like the United States will arrest me if I don't pay taxes.
You
for being on
literally
land.
do not have to get a job. You literally do not have to own property. You literally don't have to do anything in which
Yeah,
the
but
government
all-
will collect
okay,
the tax
okay,
or a big
Okay,
government.
exactly. So we don't live so we don't live in a situation where the individual with the shack and the rifle can be in a sovereign autonomous unit because he's going to have to pay taxes to some higher power that can't justify its existence.
Nah,
Like,
if you rent the shack.
Well, then I'm
just
paying
rent
rent
it,
to
yeah.
it.
Oh my, you're changing the hypothetical then.
That's
At
it,
that.
again. That is a private company in our current system. What the fuck are you bitching about?
Yeah, so then the landowner's rights are being violated by the United States. Like I'm not poor, so I don't rent my house, for example. Like
You guys make my head
Again,
hurt.
yeah,
Again,
it's
you
like there's
have
somebody
a
you
right
can
to
like
owning
shift the
private
violation.
property. Wait. Again, you have a right to owning private property. Do you
Yes, you
have
do.
a right to be? No. Okay. Wait. I'm saying you have a right to buy out and own like land. Is my
It
point.
depends, but yes, you do have a
What do you mean
do
it
have a right to own
depends?
land. Like
What do you
so
mean
like
it depends?
so like if there's an owner, right, or a piece of land, let's just irregardless of how they got there.
Yeah.
Let's say I buy a piece of
The
land from
owner
the
of the
government.
land's the government. Yeah.
Yeah, so again, the government,
You
like,
own
let's say
it.
I buy a piece of land from the government, and then like I secede from the United States. Everybody's fine with that, right?
Oh, you can't.
So,
That's their property.
okay.
Whose
So what you
property?
just
No, actually, you
described,
can. Actually, you can.
I mean,
No,
I
no,
don't
you
know.
can. No, listen, dude, you can. Listen, you can try to take your private
violating the
property and leave the United States. Plenty of people have tried in the past. Usually what happens is the United States shows up to your door with a fucking tank, with a fucking barrel right in front of your face, tells you, hey, do you really want to be a sovereign nation? Go ahead. Be a private property owner all you want, my friend. Like, let's see how that goes
taxation
for
is
you.
theft.
So then-
I agree,
You're just not
Incarnation.
following NAP.
I
You're
agree
just
with
not
you,
following
Incarnation.
NAP then.
If I do not pay taxes, the government will come to my house and force me to pay taxes. They are a robber. They are a criminal organization.
No, they don't.
Who
No,
forcibly,
no,
who
you're
will
just not following
forcibly
NAP.
extract
following NAP.
my, who will
You
forcibly
don't
have to
extract.
get a
job.
Excuse me, bootlickers. I'm
KingSithis.
speaking.
You don't own the land.
Excuse me, bootlickers.
God.
The state will come to my house and forcibly extract my wealth from my wallet if I don't
KingSithis.
pay.
Because you
KingSithis,
don't
if-
own the land.
No,
That's
I-
the point.
the
Xander,
state
Xander,
doesn't
stop.
own the
You're
land.
following
The
NAP.
state
Yes,
doesn't
they
own the
do.
land.
Xander,
No,
Xander,
It's in the
stop.
they
borders.
stole
own
it.
it.
They
KingSithis.
stole
No, they
it.
didn't.
They
KingSithis.
You
stole
stole the
it.
land
Dude,
too. Then
I
that
never
means that you
stole any
stole the
land.
too.
Point to me
Yes,
the
you
land that I
did.
stole. Point to me the land that I
The
stole.
land that you're
Point
trying
to me the
sell
land that I
you said
stole.
The U.S. stole.
No.
The land that you're trying
KingSithis.
to say.
No.
Yes.
No.
Rules.
No.
Rules.
No.
Rules for
No.
thee, but not for me. That's your
No,
entire
I never
point.
stole.
That's
Point to
literally
me the
what
land.
you're saying.
Point to me the
Yes, it
land
is.
that I stole.
Can I say something?
That's what you
How
said.
can the
Can I say
government own the
something?
land
Wait,
and the government
wait.
stole
Xander.
it, but you didn't steal
That's
it?
Xander.
annoying.
Because I
Holy
never
shit.
stole
Because
anything.
he
The
doesn't
government
own it,
did.
because
Okay,
doesn't own
okay,
it. In the word
KingSithis.
you just described, doesn't actually own his own land. The government owns his land and reserves the right to like charge him or take it from it.
Dude. Okay, KingSithis.
What?
You know you don't have to get a job. You don't have to own
Well,
property.
okay, so let's say I
You
get a
don't-
job. Let's say I get a job, but then they say we don't want to pay. We'll hire you, and you don't have to pay taxes. What do you think the government's gonna do?
Wait, are you getting a job? Are you
Yeah,
consenting to
I'm
getting
getting a job. I'm getting a job.
Okay, so then you
and
gotta
then
pay
but
taxes.
the government's
Yeah,
not
so
paying
again,
the government's not getting my taxes, but I'm not paying income
You're
taxes.
living within
But if you
the
don't-
government
but if
borders.
you-
Wait, whoa,
But if you don't, wait, stop. If you don't want to pay taxes, don't get a job.
No, if I got a job, so you're saying
I don't know.
you're not allowed to use your body to work for another person unless you pay this criminal organization. Got you.
Because
Yeah,
they
I-
own the
No,
land.
by
are
you.
violating NAP.
Wait, stop.
They don't
Stop.
own the
By
land. They
you-
stole it.
Stop. By you offering your body as services, you have consented to engage in the system, and the system requires a fee.
I mean,
No, it
okay,
doesn't
so
matter.
again-
That's like saying
again,
if a robber comes to your house and pulls a gun on you and tells you to get the fuck out of your house,
No.
and you go to your neighbor
Not
and you go to your
analogous at all.
and you go to your neighbor, oh my
It's very
god,
analogous.
this guy just robbed me. This guy just took my shit. And the neighbor goes, well, if you don't like it, you could just leave. I mean, you engaged in the thing by giving him your stuff. It's just like, no, he stole my shit.
When
Incarnation,
you engaged in commerce, in which other people have made
You gave up the
capital
house.
investment in.
You gave up the
So
house.
Those people.
So now the
want
robber's the owner of the
return on their
house.
investment. right?
Yeah, and you gave up
No,
your house
that's
to
how
the
it
robbers,
works.
so now the robber's the owner of the house now because you gave it up to him as opposed to getting
Why,
shot.
Why is there no
There's
property rights all of
two-
a sudden?
No, because
No, Incarnation. There's two
Because I
people
pay
involved in
taxes.
employment.
Because I mean,
There's-
well, no,
there's
because
a-
KingSithis,
there's a
because I paid my
employer and
fee.
an
Because I
employee.
paid my no, stop. Yo, shut up. You're an idiot. Because I paid my fees on my house, right? I get to have a private security come and protect my house called police.
it's not private
Yeah,
security.
The police
You're
are not
so
a private
fucking
security
stupid.
company.
Holy shit.
So
Right?
Incarnation,
I
let me
paid my
explain.
fees.
No,
I paid my
Incarnation,
fees and my
we're
private
just-
security. I paid my fees and my private
Sh-
localized
Shao was
security
trying
company
to.
comes and
He's
defends
trying to
my
respond.
rights.
Let him respond.
Incarnation, we're gishing and galloping away from the
Fucking
employment
rambling.
point because it was so fucking stupid. So there's two parties involved in employment, an employer and an employee, right? If I make a contract with my employer, I'm being like, I'm gonna work
There's
for you
three
for so many
people.
hours. a
No,
week.
there's three people
Yeah,
involved.
so the third party
but
shouldn't be
three.
involved. That's the whole.
No, the
argument.
third party should
Yo,
be.
bro,
no,
you
wait,
ever
the
seen
third
that
party should be
meme?
involved because
You ever seen
no,
that meme?
No, the third party is involved because you're using his streets, you're using his water pipes, you're using his gas line,
It's
you're
not
using his
his.
forest, using his power
It's not
electricity.
his.
Yes,
Why is it not his?
It's not his.
It's
They
maintained
stole
by
it. They
How they
stole
steal
it.
it?
They
Nigga,
stole
no,
it.
The government
we don't
transformed the
even have
land.
to-
You ever
we don't
seen
even
that
have to-
one meme? You guys ever seen that one meme where two people are in bed where it's
The
like, I
government
consent,
pays
I consent,
people to
I
transform
don't,
the
and that's
land.
you. That's you in the government right there.
Yeah, you're
Inc-
coping and like you're
incarnation.
seething them because
Because
that's just
Indians break the
reality.
fucking roads.
hard coping.
Incarnation, we can explain the roads and electricity thing. So like, how did the government build those roads and electricity? Perchance, like how do they do it?
Through capital investments made by people before you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. How does the government like get money to hire subcontractors? Or contractors who hire subcontractors?
Through consensual transactions.
Okay, so like if I per se hypothetically like just wanted to opt out of the system and go somewhere where there were no roads, and I wanted to buy property from the let's say I wanted to get property in the middle of nowhere, right?
Mhm.
But the place I want to go in the United States is federal land. Okay, even if I'm not employing any of those systems, I still have to buy it from the government and then pay taxes on it.
Well, because you want the government to recognize it as yours, right? So in order for the government to recognize it as yours, you have to pay a fee. You have to pay a fee because you need to pay the fee so that the government so that the private security company comes and defends you, right?
I'm gonna talk for like 15 more seconds, okay? So the whole crux of the argument is that you shouldn't have to pay the government for like to buy land or to like attain land that they shouldn't own because it's unethical, not because like the government.
Okay, so then the government doesn't need to recognize your ownership of the land, then.
Well, yeah, the government doesn't need to do anything. Nobody needs to do anything.
Just leave just leave us alone.
Well,
it's
again,
it's a non-cognitivist world.
Also,
What do you mean
the
need?
state forces us to pay for services that we don't use too. Like, I don't want the government to give
That's
my
your
money
problem.
to Israel,
That's your-
right?
that's your
But the
problem.
still,
That's fine.
That's your
yeah, that's
choice.
money.
That's
That's
your choice not to use them.
theft. That's
Your
theft.
choice not to use them.
That's
really.
theft.
Your
How is
choice
that
not
not
to use
theft?
them.
Because
I don't
you have
use.
the option to-
I use the money that goes to Israel.
Incarnation.
If
we
I
just-
buy a gym membership that I do not use, is that theft? By
I
the
didn't
gym?
buy. I didn't choose to buy it. I never signed a contract.
You
You
consented
choosing
to
it is
buy-
living.
I never signed a
within
contract.
The land's borders.
I never
Your
signed a
choice-
contract.
Oh my god! Holy.
Yeah, it
Jesus,
doesn't
man.
establish
Holy
consent,
gish
by the way.
gallop. Yeah, no, I
This is a
don't. That's
gish
not
job.
the
You don't know what
point.
you're saying.
You don't know what
That's
you're
just
saying,
not
bro.
it.
Random
Okay.
The government.
Anyway,
the government
no,
did not homestead the
we can
land.
talk
They did
contract.
not buy
We
the
talk
land.
The morality of contracts, but you living within a country's borders is the social contract of like, yes, I will pay.
I never signed a
taxes,
contract.
and my right. Again, you living in the land is your contract. That is your.
I never signed a
you operate
contract.
within its borders. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, so if I
We
live
know.
on some land that you claim to own arbitrarily, can you just do whatever you want with me at that point?
Sure.
Okay, sure,
Rachel.
you're literally incoherent.
Just
Well,
stab
listen,
him.
if I
Your
live,
argument's
dude,
not-
Anyways,
if I
guys,
live-
I'm
wait,
guys. I love you guys.
wait,
I had a
if
great
live within
conversation.
the
Wait,
borders-
everybody, wait. One
Dude.
sec. All right, guys. I had a great time. I had a fun time talking to all of y'all, even though we got heated. I think I still had a good time. Anyways, I'm going to bed. So have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, see
See
you.
you.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Have a good night, everyone.